All right, how about now? It says it's using. Okay, it says it sees me, and the little bar is going. All right, I don't hear anything from the YouTube side of it. Uh, Let me just refresh that. Okay, you can hear me now. That's good. That's all that matters. Um, all right, so not just external factors adjusting my ability to carry out a plan, also the the system itself. But that's all right. Good afternoon, good evening, and good day. Happy Father's Day. Happy Juneteenth, and let's see what we can work out with what we got started here. Let's pull up the first article, and you might have noticed that if there was any sound on that first one, that it didn't go through. But all right, now it's showing no picture on what the heck. Oh, let me turn what it shows me. Weird. I don't know how to reset the stream. Let me turn off and on the camera and see if that does it. No. All right, let's do one more refresh. Oh, whoa, it showed me turn it off. When I turn it on, there's no video. Weird. Let's refresh one more time. Show me on stream. I should be showing full screen. There we go. All right, so now I don't like my head to be that big, so let's make it smaller. All right. And is there still audio? I'm waiting on you guys to confirm that. It shows. Okay, great. So, good afternoon, good evening, good day, and good morning to those of you on the West Coast. Happy Father's Day, happy Juneteenth. Um, so, what I was pointing about external factors, I was pointing at Motoko, who's asleep on my chest right now, and it's not just her, but that's fine. And it shows the bitrate is too low on YouTube side. We're just gonna roll with it. So I have all the articles. They're not preloaded. They're not collated, but that's fine. Let's start with one that Dan sent. I don't know if I put in my notebook, and we'll go from there. So let's see. Share screen. This tab here, and it's just me, so I don't want to be off on the side like that. Let's do streamer reacts view. That's not what they call it. What do they call this? They call it number 4. Let's do number 4. So Dish is demanding that SpaceX deactivate Starlink. Dish is used on moving cars and boats. However, Starlink isn't advertised to work on moving cars and boats just yet. In fact, it's against the user agreement to do so. There are a few people who've tried it out. I don't know anybody's actively doing this because you kind of need to be able to drive, and if you're messing around on the internet, you're not driving. On the boats, I don't know that anybody's actually put Starlink on a boat yet. I'm curious how it works because there's a lot of sailors that I follow that I'm curious if this will fix their connectivity issues, because right now they have a heck of a time getting connected. And Eddie says something about 5 frames per second. Yeah, I don't know how to fix that on this platform without starting a new stream, and I don't know how well that will go over, because let's see, is there a way I can settings? If I turn off 1080p and then turn it back on. All right, and stream health. It says the stream has excellent health, but the streaming rate is super, super low. Good times. Yeah. All right, let's turn it back on the 1080. I think it's just my camera, not the stream itself. I'm just gonna roll with it because I don't have any videos to share today, and everything is like a web page. So we'll go from there. And since this is being recorded, I'll probably find a way to do something with that feed. Yeah, so Dish is demanding that they deactivate Starlink, and so far the only thing I've seen is officially is the various trials with the Air Force, a couple other governments, and NASA, as well as the two airliners that have signed up commercially. But I imagine they, being FAA regulated all the way through and through, they've already got their authorization properly handled to do Starlink internet on those airplanes. So let's see what PC World has to say about it. PC Magazine has to say about it. Let's see. Part of a growing feud between the two companies. SpaceX has not yet secured an FCC license to operate Starlink dishes on moving vehicles. They're not selling it to do so. The RV plan is for parked vehicles. It says so when you try to buy it. Yeah, see, SpaceX's own website notes that Starlink is not allowed in motion. Yeah, a couple people have tried it. Oh wait, you know what? I did see a sailor use it on his boat, but it wasn't a boat in motion. It was a parked boat. He was anchored at the marina. Not really anchored. He was tied up. What do you call that when you yeah moored? He was moored at the marina. Some customers have tried Starlink on moving RVs and boats and posted about the performance on social media. There's that, yeah, but I don't know if that's something to come after the company for a handful of people. And to shut their accounts down, they should be like a regular ISP where they warn you, hey, don't download copyrighted music while using our service. This is your first strike of 3. Uh, Also, specifically, SpaceX should be ordered to disclose whether, and how it can identify operations in motion. Its system demonstrably deactivate accounts that antennas will in motion. That's stupid. Uh, the birds are moving at thousands of miles an hour. It would be a little hard for them to tell if a vehicle is moving at 30 miles an hour or less. I think what's happening here is Dish knows they can't compete because they're geostationary and their service sucks. And um, just like the car dealers, rather than improve their servicing, they would rather have a judge shut down their competitors so they don't have to do anything or invest in their product. My 2 cents on that, because eventually SpaceX is going to get the approval, and oh hey look, the stream picked up. Glad I didn't do anything to it. um, the Eventually SpaceX will get the proper permits for all these things. Like they keep saying, hey, this is coming, this is coming. Their main concern with why you can't use it on your RV or on your car in motion is they think that your car is too small. And on your RV right now, they're only selling the squishy in the States, and the squishy is not very aerodynamic. It's a rounded rectangle. It's a rounded rectangle, and the old Dishy McFlatface is round, but they only sell that overseas now, and it also wasn't meant to be used in motion. All right, so let's move on to some of the stuff we actually had to talk about today, and let's copy this first link. Watch it be the same article. I doubt it because it's a Twitter link. Go, go. Oh, this one is actually one I had for What Drives Us. Why won't it go? Come on, computer, just play nice for once. Darn it. I want to look it up. Paste and go. Yeah, there you go. All right. So yeah, this was one I did on What Drives Us. It was a fun little motorbike. $600. It can do 50 miles an hour, and it doesn't look like something that you'd want to take with you on the road. Russell brought up the point that it also looks very disposable, and even if somebody like Pep Boys or whoever bought a crate of them and sold them for $1,000, good luck getting parts. And it kind of reminds me of a scooter I used to ride to school. I had a stand-on gas scooter I rode to school because the bike ride was getting a bit rough from my apartment to my school, and I think that's the one where that lady ran me over and left. in her minivan. That's a story for another day. I want to copy a link to the paragraph. I want to copy the link. Yeah, there you go. All right, this first one, we got a lot of them from Dry Tesla Canada today. Chinese police prevent Tesla vehicles from entering Sichuan. And their argument here is that the cars have cameras on them, and it seems like a little bit of projection, like some of the politicians here do. Like, hey, we're doing this crap, so everybody's doing it. So what's happening here is China thinks that because what they would do is use the roaming mobile platforms with cameras as spy devices. They think that the U.S. and Britain and everybody else is doing the same thing, despite the fact that the cars are built right there in China, and the Chinese Teslas have their own servers and their own feeds, and they don't interact in the same way as the worldwide Teslas do. Um, so these police were redirecting every Tesla out of the way. There's more to the story coming up in a second. Also, to the point that across from the palace or the presidential, however you would call it, they. Okay, so now my frame rate's messed up because my camera is going to. Pick a camera. I want this camera. Okay, yes, it is upside down because it's mounted upside down. Okay, so there we go. Uh, oh goodness. So the some folks have marked it up to being aggressive police officers trying to, I don't know, get a promotion or whatever, or just like be do-gooders trying to prove that they're one with the party or whatever. And so you can see in the video that they're every Tesla they're just redirecting it. However, uh, across from Mr. Jinping's palace or whatever you call the seat of government's residence is a supercharger. So it's unlikely that is what's happening. Anders says an ISP should not interfere with what a person does. It's the job of the police to arrest people who do illegal things. I agree. There are very limited cases where I feel that an ISP should be involved in anything other than somebody who is abusing the service to the detriment of the other customers. So if I suddenly start streaming 100 streams and that blocks my neighbor from using their internet, they would be well within their rights to limit me to 2 streams or whatever it takes to not destroy everybody else's connection. But if it's a matter of um, say I start streaming a movie, a copyrighted movie without permissions, you're right, Anders. That should be somebody else's job, not the ISP's job to shut me down. Because yes, that's still not allowed, but it's not necessarily their place to deal with it. And then AT&T shouldn't be able to sue Verizon or Starlink or whoever I'm going over at the moment to actually make this thing go if that was what I was doing. I agree. So the video is actually in this one. It wasn't there when I looked earlier. All right, so you can go Tesla that way. So Tesla that way, Tesla that way. So there's a special event going on, and somebody suggests that perhaps it is not how it appears. Let me get that link going right. Well, it's not there anymore. Thanks, notes. So there's a very strong incentive for us to be confidential with any information. If Teslas are used to spy in China or anywhere, we will get shut down. That's coming from Elon back in 2001, March. And Tesla China didn't provide any comment. And so basically there was a tweet explaining what all of this was, and I put it right underneath the article. And it's not there now. So we'll move on to something more fun. But basically, they pointed out that there's a supercharger, I think at 8 Bay, right across from the palace. Let's call it that. And because of that, it seems unlikely that they were just directing all the Teslas. It might have just been all the Teslas in this short clip. But basically, you go to this road, you go to this road, keep the traffic down away from whatever the event was. All right. So Tesla's Fremont factory sets a new single-day production record, according to Elon Musk. And let's see. The email to all staff titled Production and Delivery, a copy of which was obtained by Drive Tesla. Musk congratulated everyone on the accomplishment, saying it happened even though Tesla had a very tough quarter. They sure did. All right, so Elon says this has been a very tough quarter, primarily due to supply chain challenges in China, so we need to rally hard to recover. I'd like to congratulate the Fremont team in achieving an all-time record production day last week, and Berlin for making almost 1,000 cars last week. This is great stuff. Shanghai is returning to full strength, and Austin is spooling up. Onward to victory, Elon. And at 8:45 on June 12th, Musk sent a follow-up email Sunday morning saying that Tesla employees are doing pure goodness, and he has infinite more respect and admiration for you than the richest person on Wall Street. I have more respect for you than myself. Of course, with the way the Tesla stock was going, it probably wasn't him this time, but for a moment, it was him. Let's read his actual email. So we actually build great real products that people love and make their lives and the world better. That is so profound. In an honest day's work, or it is an honest day's work that you can feel in your heart. Whatever else is going on in this messed up world, know that at least what you are doing is pure goodness, and I have it said infinitely, so somebody quoted him wrong, infinitely more respect and admiration for you than the richest person on Wall Street. Heart emoji, Elon. A double heart emoji, I should say. This has been a tough quarter, primarily due to supply chain and production challenges in China. Okay, so somebody finally got the actual email rather than a quoting on it, because this part was in that first section. Oh, and then this. No, these are two different emails. I don't know why they've arranged them this way. They don't sign off an email and sign off again. I don't think even Elon does that. Unless he's going to provide a number, he might as well just announce he's got a new hemorrhoid in it. Jesus, what? That's odd. He doesn't need to provide a number to the troops. He's trying to rally the troops. He's not making a stock. He's not making a proper announcement to the shareholders. All right, this one is a tweet. Oh, okay, so this is the one I thought I'd put right where I put it, but apparently it put it in chronological order somehow. So Jeff Page says this is the dumbest knee-jerk reaction ever, and this ping is there. Okay, so this guy says fake news. It's a random inspection conducted by traffic police. Tesla has near 10 stores in Sichuan and sells hundreds of cars there every month. This is what I would say, if this was real, that is projection. And all right, so according to Chinese netizens, Jinping believes that Teslas are foreign spy cars. FYI, across from the presidential residence, okay, that's what they call it, the presidential residence in Beijing is a Tesla Supercharger with 6 stalls and 2 destination chargers. Typical local cadre overreacts and makes international news. That makes sense. Nice Cake says it's fake. If the president believes it's a spy car, then how can Tesla sell hundreds of thousands of Model 3 and Y in China every month? Another good question. And then Vince says, fake news, it's to redirect traffic, and many other cars were also sent to the other lane. Watch the whole video, media manipulation, which is also possible. Either media manipulation or overreaction or whatever. So that's why I was kind of couching all of that it wasn't necessarily what we saw. All right, so then we've got an Elon tweet, and I missed a bunch of his tweets, so we'll go through his Twitter stream together and hope it's not foolishness. Elon says the probability of injury, according to the U.S. government, Model 3 achieves the lowest probability of injury of any vehicle ever tested by. All right, so we'll open that in a new window, I guess. No, let's copy it. Copy link. Yeah, because they still don't have my switch tab button back yet. We can't say it's the safest cars in the universe. Shut up and take my money. All right, so let's go to the article. I thought they already did this, so this is no, it's not. They already did this. I don't know why he brought it up again. This is the original back in August of 2018. So why bring it up again, Elon? Let's go back. He's in response to. Meanwhile, in China, a massive tree falls onto Model 3 glass roof and the driver walks away uninjured. And here we can see a car is riding low. There's not even a dent anywhere on the A pillar, and I'm sure the glass is blown out. And we shared some pictures of this on the Tesla Live show, and yeah, it's just impressive. I'm glad that this is the car I chose for my family. All right, so let's see what Elon was up to last week. Let's do tweets and replies. I might regret this. All right, so he's talking about birth rate again. Is that a pinned tweet? He pinned the tweet about birth rate, so yeah, he wants more babies. He'll keep supporting Dogecoin. Something about Shadow Crew. Is that a reply? No. LaCroix is like drinking sparkling water while looking at a fruit and imagining the flavor really hard. I'm sorry for those of you that like LaCroix. I personally haven't found a flavor that I enjoy. I feel swindled every time I drink one. Yes. All right, so we got a meme. So what's next for SpaceX after FAA approval? It's Orban time. All right, yeah. Yeah, Gwen is the best. Happy Father's Day, yes. And again, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. And Elon Musk's father says that his son's ambition is due to the austere education he received. I was a strict father. You were a terrible person. He did teach me a lot of engineering and physics while growing up in an environment that was austere and often bleak. That guy likes to be in the limelight. I wonder where he gets it from, huh? He says he loves all his kids so much. All right, so at Founders Fund, we're looking to fund companies that believe in the future of work, working in an office, hiring based on merit, employees are expected to bring their work self to work. And this sounds really somebody who's made up their mind about workers. It's kind of like old school stuff. Elon believes in that, of course. Like, oh, you can't be working if you're not in the office. All right, then, Grandpa. Uh, call TikTok because that's the sound of our time running out. Stop using it. Changing Starlink's default Wi-Fi name to Stinky. Really? All right. If you can't smell your Wi-Fi, how do you know it's real? So this one happened last night. We were busy doing other stuff. They did another launch. This one wasn't a Starlink launch. It I don't recall who it was. Okay, so that's a good question. It's from an account I blocked. Oh, it's crypto stuff. All right, so I think we're almost caught up with Elon and his Elonness. There was one other thing that made the news about it that I just don't think I caught the article for. Let's see, so he's replying to himself. I'm sure that's pretty unique, he says. Yes, yes, indeed, that is pretty unique. This will encourage people to change it. I wonder if you are currently using the default, if it will still change it. But during the setup flow, they ask you to name your Starlink. So I was going to say, I wonder if mine will change, but mine's not named the default. It's named something that's related to my regular network's name. Feels like deja vu all over again. I didn't want to click in the tweet. Super weird thing that Falcon 9 is still the only orbital booster to land or refly after all these years. Yeah, I agree. Like you would think that others would have caught on to this by now. They've had a couple of years to try it and catch up. You've got Electron. They had their helicopter catch the other day, and then they dropped it. So we got to work on whatever it was that caused the pilot to cut it loose, because it's better safe than sorry. You don't want to crash your helicopter. The only thing keeping other orbital rocket programs alive is government protection, or they'd be deader than a doornail, and everyone knows it. But oh well. Come see, come saw. Google nailed the translation, English to English. Because I used deja vu, which is French. Raptor 1 versus Raptor 2. We're working on a video to accompany the last part of the Elon convo on Raptor. Yeah, so Everyday Astronaut did another part of his Elon interview, and it was interesting. It seems appropriate. They kind of did it on as his own video. It was kind of like a Elon rambling about the original Merlin engine, which was still interesting to me, but he was a little distracted. He tends to be somewhere else when he's doing these interviews with Tim. Um, it's a unique flow. I enjoy it, but I don't know that anybody looking for an actual interview would. It's weird. I'm sure there are other interviews like this, but it's it's a weird flow and weird feel. About 20% more thrust, 20% less mass. That's great. Focus been heavily on production rate and reliability. There you go. Okay, okay. Oh, okay, okay. Even Elon thought that was funny. So if Elon Musk is really a free speech absolutist, then why did he call all the cops when I broke into his mom's house and started screaming for her at her for managing the family's emerald mine? Um, the emerald mine story, if you're not aware, is more lies from Elon Musk. They can't even prove that he had shares in this dying mine, but his whole story about how rich they were because they had too much cash to shut the safe is just foolishness. If you have that much cash, then you're going to buy a bigger safe. And if it's just one time, then you're going to go make your deposit because some Dogecoin stuff. All right, I think we're done with Elon tweets for the week. Oh, five SpaceX employees, unprofessionally worded letter and harassment of coworkers. Why Elon against free speech? Okay, so we've actually got this one coming up. I had skipped it until there was a follow up. I think we're done. I think we're done. All right, so moving on. Let's go to the next thing here. Sorry, the Elon tweets are a weird rabbit hole to get into, and you saw me fall into it. Paste and go. This one's also from Drive Tesla Canada. PEI announces 35 new electric school buses for the island from Quebec's Lion Electric. I keep saying electrify all the things, and electric school buses are great because diesel is terrible as far as like diesel emissions. I mean, I know that diesel is very fuel efficient, but the diesel emissions are particularly bad. They can get into everything, and children are more susceptible. So what do? We put them on the idling diesel generator, but not these kids. It's 35 new buses. They're also going to install charging stations, and they'll replace buses starting in the 2022 to 2023 school year. So when the kids go back to school, they will be riding on EVs. Yes, we do. That's a sad, sad face. You having a bad dream? It's a very sad face. There we go. Back. All right, so there we go. Lion Electric, and includes a 1,000 bus order from Student Transportation of Canada and 200 buses from Lang's Bus Line Limited. There you go. So Lion C. So that might be something worth looking into investing in if you're the investing type. All right, so let's do next. Another article from Dry Tesla Canada. One that I was just surprised that Elon was surprised about. Tesla's accelerate right-hand drive Model Y production on higher than expected demand. It's like what Patrick and I came up with on the Tesla Life show with this one was that perhaps what surprised them wasn't that the car was, or rather, these two things can both be true. Like one, it was record orders, and two, they were more record orders than even the company had anticipated, which is a possibility. So Tesla CEO Elon Musk said the company will increase production of right-hand drive models after facing higher than expected demand for the SUV. We're working on accelerating right-hand drive Model Y. Didn't expect demand to be so high. kind of the same way that they expected the Model 3 to sell like gangbusters, but they were not ready for what the actual order count was. And then that put the company in jeopardy for 3 years. Could be like that. But for those of you in right-hand drive countries like the UK and Japan, Thailand, um, Jamaica, those sorts of places, you might really enjoy this. I mean, we've had the Model 3 for a minute, but now get you a Model Y. Because the Model Y, like, it's a double whammy. Like the Model Y was already going to be their best-selling car, according to Elon. Now you've got the best-selling car available in more markets, and I wonder these people who've been waiting for this car for years. I wonder if they'll want it. Yes, yes, they will. Wish this thing wouldn't jump when I clicked on stuff. All right, let's see. It's the only thing I don't like about this notebook. I don't know if it does it everywhere, if it just does it on Mac. And there we go. It's not facing it going again. All right, so they made a T-shirt on this now, but that's not what this is about. So Tesla Model S Plaid sets a quarter-mile record at 8.83 seconds at 161 miles per hour. So the exterior was completely stock. The interior, they removed some stuff, like let's see. They kept the door handles, windows, power windows, put on Mickey Thompson drag radials at the rear, and Michelin PS4s on the front. Share two photos of their interior, showing that all that remained was the steering wheel, no airbag, and the two displays. The driver's seat was there too, but had been replaced by an aftermarket racing seat. In total, the weight savings were estimated to be around 550 pounds to 600 pounds. Yeah, you can see there's not much left in there at all. So, see, this is a key difference with what Marcus is doing with EV Smoke. So, EV Smoke is going to be fully functional as a car. It's got the parachute, it's got other modifications, but when you look inside, you don't think, oh, that's some specialty race car. You're like, oh, that's a cool Tesla. It's got more stuff coming that Marcus will be sure to show us. But right now, if you hopped in there, you could get on the road, no problem. It's street legal, and fortunately, there's no video of the runs, but the owner did provide time slip as proof, along with the Draghi results. All right, so car number 947, 4.888 reaction time, 1.377 60 foot, 3.753 330 foot, 5.708 1/8 mile, at 125.24 miles per hour, 1,000 foot 0, quarter mile at 8.834 at 161.37 miles per hour. Not bad. And then here's the Draghi results: 1320 feet, 8.87 seconds, and a negative 0.25% slope. All right. And the numbers should be close. They may not match up exactly because of the way that the drag strip measures with these ancient devices, and this being a GPS-based system here. Let's see, 1/8, 5.74. Yeah, they're close. 5.74 versus 5.08. All right, so moving on. Unless somebody has something to say. And nobody recorded it. What about the dash cam? But yes. Hey, I'm the son of the owner. We're currently thinking about buying a GoPro to film it. Okay, but what about sticking? Actually, it's a Plaid. It comes with a thumb drive in the dashboard, unless they removed it when they took out the rest of the interior. That's officially quicker than a Chiron Poor Sport. Congrats. Let us know if and when you get a chance to film it. Would love to share it with everyone. I'm the owner of the car, and I can tell you, first, it's totally true. Second, the car is a freaking beast. Somebody who didn't even look at the pictures. He probably gutted it too. Yeah, there's pictures of it. There's time slip and a Draghi validation. A video would be nice, but it's not necessary. Agreed. Agreed. All right, so moving on. I need to move these notes so they're not covering up the chat, because that doesn't feel good to me because I'm looking for it to jump, and when it jumps, I don't see what it is you guys said. All right, so got that corrected. Now it's covering up the window, which is fine because if I'm getting the next story, it doesn't matter what the old story says. There we go. All right, so the Hertz Model 3 rentals expand to Canada. So if you liked the idea of the Hertz rental, and you're going to do the non-modified rentals, and they make good on their not sending their customers to jail, or ruining their credit, or getting a warrant out on them, then this is another option for you. I'm only partially in jest on that because the new CEO said that they were going to work on uh, fixing all the flaws that allowed that to happen. Because the last thing you want to do is be accusing your legitimate customers of grand theft. But basically, what happened there is if you extended your rental agreement in any way, there was a chance they could screw it up royally. So now it looks like you can get them in Canada. I'm beeping everywhere. What's going on here? Stand by. Like that. Oh, okay. People telling me Happy Father's Day. And let's see. So a reader sent us these pictures showing close to a dozen of the electric sedans and parking spots reserved for Hertz rentals at Toronto's Pearson International Airport. YYZ. Awesome. There you go. Having checked Hertz Canada's website, we were able to find Model 3 available at Toronto, Montreal, Trudeau. Really? Oh, you know, he's got a dad, though, so it might not be him. Vancouver, and however, we don't know what rates Hertz is charging customers to rent the Model 3, so we were unable to find a date where it was not sold out. Okay, that makes sense. And then they had an update. One of our readers says that they're charging 214 Canadian dollars per day, and 568 Canadian dollars per weekend. That's fair. Might even be cheaper than gas, depending on how that conversion works out. Pick up on Friday, return on Sunday. This is comparable to the VW Jetta, Toyota Corolla, Hyundai Sonata, and Toyota RAV4, all rent for roughly the same amount. There you go. So this is real, baby. This is real. All right. So we got Marcus here in the chat. I've also oh, thank you very much, Marcus. Thank you. Fan character laughing out loud with tears in their eyes. Absolutely. Thank you. So I was saying that earlier that smoke, unlike the previous vehicle we showed off, is not stripped on the inside. Smoke may have modifications, but is not a stripped car by any means, and is still achieving awesome results, which is pretty commendable. Let's see, what's the next article here? All right, so yeah, I did have another copy of the Dish article. Thanks, Dan. Copy this one. Marcus says, Happy Father's Day to all, indeed. And Dawood says, Happy First Father's Day. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, so where did my article go? Paste and go. There you go. All right, so the expansion of the Supercharger network lags behind Tesla's sales, as according to Inside EVs. They kind of tend to ride the fence as far as whether they are pro or anti or celebrating the bad news on Tesla. But I don't think this is any of that. I think it's literally just, hey, here's the numbers. The data indicates that there are more and more cars per single supercharging stall. And looking at this, I watch a lot of kind of like city planning type videos. So like they'll point out that some cities in Europe have one parking spot per 3 cars, and in the U.S. we have, or worse than that actually, it was one parking spot for every 3 people, I believe, or 30 people, something like that. And then in the States we've got more parking spots than people or cars, and it's just a matter of your priorities, and ours are a little bit messed up. So I'm wondering if you could apply that same logic here, because they do have the data for when people are charging and unless you're charging during peak or in California, you'll notice that most of the time you arrive at a supercharger, it's empty. So for Father's Day, um, they let me sleep in uh, both yesterday and today. And then yesterday we took Motoko to the beach, and that was a 200 plus mile journey. It was way more than 200 miles because we left at 90% exactly, and we got back at 21%. And we were going to try to do some grocery shopping, but Moto was not having it. And so we parked at the Supercharger around the corner from us, and there was one Model S there. They were there when we left, and they were there when we so they were there when we got there, and they were there when we left. And then a Model Y showed up. Might have been Model 3. Either way, one of the new cars showed up while we were charging. Like we'd been plugged in for maybe 5 minutes. We ran for 26 minutes, and then right before we unplugged the Model 3, Model Y unplugged and left. And then we unplugged and left, and then the Model S was still there. So you've got a 8. I think it's 8. I don't think it's a 12. I don't remember now. It might be a 12. So either 8 or 12 bays of V3 at whatever it is at Woodbridge. I can look it up. Um, and it was empty on a Saturday where there was loads of traffic. Traffic, speaking of which, I've noticed that a lot of people are doing anywhere from 5 to 10 miles an hour under the speed limit for what appears to be no good reason. I don't know if gas is just that expensive that folks are finally driving like it matters, or if I just got caught behind over 20 people who just are too afraid to drive. I don't know which. And oh man, uh, for some reason the quickest route for us was directly through DC. So we went up to Maryland to the beach, and that was an adventure of a trip. I tell you what. Robert says hi. Hello, Robert. And close this window and see what the results say about this. All right, so let's see. Network expanded to 35,000 individual connectors, which is pretty cool. Exclusively available to Tesla, with the exception of the shared stations in Europe. And over 700 Teslas per station and 80. Okay, so 700 Teslas per site and 80 Teslas per stall. I don't see the problem with this. They're not. I've talked to several people who have never supercharged before, like, and they go on trips. In fact, a friend of mine lives in Philly, and she supercharged one time because of poor planning. Like she forgot to plug in one night, or it didn't fully seat, and she didn't see it, or something, and then she had to go somewhere. Turns out she didn't even need to make the trip, so she didn't really need to supercharge that one time. And she's had the car for since the Model 3 came out. So and she's not the only one. Like Kim, like Tesla, Kim Java, whatever she called herself this week. Her parents almost never supercharged as well. I think she said that the car her mom sold recently was never supercharged. So it's not just a matter of comparing number of cars per number of plugs per number of stations. It's a matter of looking at your usage. Uh, I mean, like even during evacuations, literally the only time I waited was that time that Savannah had a cabinet down, and everybody arrived at the same time on the return from the evacuation. So even getting out, evacuating South Carolina to Florida of all places to avoid a hurricane, uh, we we didn't have to worry about our emergent travel. So let's see what their summary is now that we've determined that the numbers don't really matter. A very important question is what will happen if Tesla opens the network to non-Tesla EVs, not only in Europe, but also North America and globally. Including non-Tesla EVs, there'll be even more cars per station installed. Again, the cars per station isn't really the issue, it's the utilization. But obviously the only way to get that is to stick a camera up at or somebody with a clipboard 24/7 up at a supercharger, and they'll only get you one or two locations. It won't get you the network. So it's an interesting thought experiment to me, but I don't think that, like I said, I don't think it really matters, except for in places like Southern California where they are oversubscribed. Um, let's see what the comments on this thing are. I always find it weird the way their comments, I scroll down and then up and then back down again. if they show up at all. There we go. Supercharging hasn't become more crowded for me over the years, so I think the ratio of superchargers to Tesla on the road is a misleading statistic. Yes, somebody gets it. The only time this is where I was waiting were during the holiday travel times, and there's no way to mitigate that other than drive during non-peak hours. There's that, and the other time I had to wait, aside from the Savannah supercharger being down and people clogging the towing supercharger stall, uh, which I can't really count as a typical drive, at least not until Cybertruck comes out anyway. Was the one at Elizabeth, New Jersey, where I cut the line, where there was a V3 cabinet down. Um, Literally, the only times I waited were without during a normal travel. So the evacuation and vacations was one time in Elizabeth, New Jersey, one time in Savannah, and then probably about 6 times while towing trailers because people are want to just pull straight nose in, and those nose in spots are for people towing trailers, people with bike racks, and people with the ski rack, and of course, initially for folks that are towing trailers. So, yeah, I don't have any sympathy for those folks who are unable to reverse into the spots for whatever reason. The one that really gets me is that guy said, "Oh, you're lucky we were done eating." Freaking jerk! Uh, and even though he was done eating, we still had to wait another 8 minutes because he was a bleeping idiot. Uh, Hertz is doing a terrible job of informing Tesla renters of how to charge. Yeah, so Eddie was telling us the other day about some folks who tried to use a was it CCS not adapter, but CCS charger with no adapter, or was it Chatamo with no adapter? Either way, yeah. I'm wondering, like, I'll have to go back and watch Nikki's video. I was busy when she put it out about what they do. I know they give you a laminated card. I don't know if they put their YouTube videos on the home screen or not, but I wonder how much of it is like, hey, we did all we could do, and how much of it is people just not paying attention. Just give me the keys. I'm gonna go. It's a car. How hard could it be? I know how to drive a car. It's probably somewhere in the middle, but it's, seeing the people make that mistake over in your charging lot, Eddie, was this kind of, I don't know what to say, eye-opening, but kind of gives you a clue of what you're working with. I mean, because no matter what you can do to idiot-proof something, they'll build a bigger idiot. All right, so Tesla Berlin is producing nearly 1,000 vehicles per week, according to Musk. It's a coupon found for Teslarati. I don't need a coupon on Teslarati. I don't even have a login for this coupon thing. Anyway, I've got one for others. uh, According to Elon Musk's recent email to employees, blah blah. Yeah, so we saw that. So the Idiotproof being delivered to Giga Berlin. This one was the one where they speculated that this is Gorilla. Remember I was talking about how they were all named after X-Men, and then apparently not at Giga Berlin. And so they're speculating that this one might have been for the mega packs, or not the mega packs, the structural packs. Mega packs have their own factory. Here in action. I haven't seen this video at all. I haven't seen it with that music, but I have seen this video. All right. Yeah, so 1,000 vehicles per week. Week per day? Per week. Okay. Giga Berlin is just slower at everything than I anticipated. I'm not disappointed. It's just that I'm glad I didn't bet on like we have these Mortimer $1 bets at at the Tesla Life, and I'm glad I didn't stick my neck out on anything for Giga Berlin. I would have been disappointed all the way through. I mean, they're doing well, and they'll get there. It's just when you look at all the others, you'd think they could do so much better. All right, so then Jeremy Ray points out that another aspect that we'll learn to appreciate about tunnels. Uh, it's a picture. Boston moved its highway underground in 2003, and this was the result. A nice, beautiful park. Look at that, instead of an ugly junction, above ground junction. And the buildings are still there, and they actually look better now that they're not surrounded. Exactly. And so I think this is what we'll see as we not just reduce our dependence on cars. We don't have to like get rid of the cars. We just have to not build our infrastructure around cars. Uh, we should make it so you can get where you need to go if we want to keep the cars, which I think we're going to have to in North America. But this minimum parking, this minimum like one of the videos I was watching for this city planning type stuff, they showed how it's a 5,000 square foot theoretical school had a required parking space of over 2,100 square feet of parking. It's like these are kids. Like I mean, yeah, you've got your teachers, you got your visiting, like if they have an event or something. But when I went to school in a more rural area, it wasn't a given that you would drive to school. It was like there were school buses, and you had to pay to park, and it was a privilege. You could lose your like if you got suspended, you would lose your ability to park at school, and you'd have to ride the bus or get a ride. And I'm not that old. I know it used to be even more strict for that. And in some places, like the freshmen couldn't park at my school either. But they also pointed out how being a kid here is kind of like you need a chaperone to go everywhere because now there's to the point where in a lot of cities, if you let your kid roam free, I think this one happened in Canada. Uh, they let their was it 9 or 10 year old just walk to the park with their sibling and no, it wasn't even walking to the park. They let them ride the bus to school on their own, and they somebody tried to get their kids taken away for it. Um, Meanwhile, in Amsterdam, uh, oh, I wonder if I've got the article for that still from What Drives Us. Russell shared with us a coach who's doing a similar style to what Amsterdam does, except it's got adults in it, where they do what's called a walking bus, and so all the kids are on bicycles, which is not a walking bus, obviously, but it's the same concept. And the coach and a couple other volunteers are allowing the kids to just kind of be free and go from home to school. They're trying to figure out a plan to get them from school back home. But even that one trip allows so much, so much of a kid to just allow them to grow and experience a little bit of responsibility, a little bit of freedom. They're not chained to their parents for everything they want to do. Um, this not being able to walk around or ride your bike because cars are everywhere is a uniquely North American thing. I mean, it has happened elsewhere in the world, but a lot of places are walking it back a lot faster than we are. Let's see. Smoke says there's correct. No need for that. Taking everything out, amazing. Uh, we got something to show EV Smoke will do, and still the car runs at 8.8. Wow. Stay tuned for more sneak peeks coming on our Instagram at EV Smoke ACX. Yes. Uh, Delay or can't comment on YouTube for some reason. Um, I don't know what's up with that. I didn't set it to members only, did I? Let me check that real quick because I know they are always asking. I never click it. Uh, Auto start, auto stop, view activity. This stream has just been the settings have been weird all day today. Uh, what does this button do? All right, so I can't find the button on the control panel for the who can chat, but I don't think I changed it. Usually, what I do for chat is I go in and I change it so that folks who watch the replay can see the chat as it happened. Because it's a little weird if I'm responding to stuff that I didn't put on the screen, and you can't see what it is I'm responding to. All right, so yeah, so as I was saying, we don't have to get rid of the car, but more cars is not the option. But if we could not design our infrastructure around the car, we could have beautiful stuff like this. Like it's not a cars are evil. It's not a we have to walk everywhere. No, we can have something in between, like they're showing here with Boston. And I gotta thank you there, Jeremy, for sharing this with us. That's awesome. If you begin to slow down, that's not the. Um, that wasn't in relation to the tweet at all. But let's see if anybody else said anything about this tweet. If you live through the big dig, you may have other things to say about it. This is true. The big dig was a nightmare, but it's done. Now that it's done, it looks good. It took forever. It was a mess, tied up traffic for 16 long years. So you got to wonder then if something like the Boring Company could do it better, because I don't think that was. I don't think it was technology or uh, workmanship. I think it was literally, which union did it, which crew did it, which politician authorized it, and I think we went lowest bid, and it just stretched out. I think that's a failure in contracting, not a failure in engineering, that it took so long. Ah, probably because the government was in charge of the project. Yes, I noticed me, Elon. Elon says exactly. Seattle needs Boring Company to create a massive tunnel so I-5 stops ruining the city. Yes, and move it underground, create a massive park on top. Yeah, look what happened in. Aside from how they got the land, look what happened in New York when they put in Central Park. When I say how they got the land was how they took all those black neighborhoods and bulldozed them. That was not good, but the rest of it was pretty cool. Yeah. Jeff Bezos can pay for it, so he has a dope legacy and makes up for how much he cost our city. Oh, I like that. Um, yeah, it would be a huge ROI for Seattle. Oh, it's Galley saying that. I didn't even realize he changed his icon there, his avatar. Since it's a good idea, it won't happen in our lifetime. Oh, all right. So that's enough of these people. Let's move on to the next article. So I find out where I move the window to. All right. So this one is a double. I don't know why I did that. Usually when I double them up like that, it's a follow up or another copy with another perspective on the same article. What we're looking at here is for General Motors, Stellantis, and Ford, General Motors, Stellantis, and Toyota have urged Congress to eliminate the cap on the $75,000 electric vehicle tax credit since zero-emission vehicles cost more to manufacture, which I think is pretty cool. General Motors and Tesla have run out of their cap. Ford is approaching it, and Toyota is nearly there, despite not actually having an EV on sale yet. Toyota wasted theirs on 11 and 22-mile plugins because it didn't matter if your car didn't meet the full discount to get the full 7,500. If you went for the $1,000 discount with the teeny tiny little battery that barely qualified, that was still one of your 200,000 units, and they squandered it with 11-mile Priuses and or Prii. I think it was just Prius. They accepted some non-Latin answers to plural Prius, but the real plural Prius is Prius, despite what Toyota says. Anyway, they wasted it on cars that just barely qualified, and now that they have cars that do qualify, it does give them an unfortunate advantage. But because they wasted it, they don't get that advantage for very long. So, haha. However, you've got folks like Stellantis and Subaru that do get an advantage for not even trying at all, and they can sell through their 200,000 units. No, I can't say that. Stellantis had the Chrysler Pacifica plug-in hybrid, but that was more voltage. It actually met the requirement. It maxed out the 7,500. It had a 16 kilowatt hour battery pack or higher. So that one was real. It counted. They didn't sell many of them. So but the point of what I'm making there is they started late, and they get to use that to beat the folks who did the right thing early, like GM and Tesla, and it was implemented poorly. It was implemented very poorly. So we'll see what becomes of this. And Let's see why I had a follow up behind it. Ford claims that it was an error. The dealership accidentally. Oh, okay. So it's cool for Ford dealerships to sell these trucks for double the MSRP. And then this person is saying that Ford said it was an error that they doubled the MSRP of the vehicle, and I'd say that kind of convenient that they did that. I'm getting a call from the pharmacy. It's on my headset, so we're not going to talk to the pharmacy right now. I'll listen to the voicemail. Right, so yeah, like I was saying, let's get the second part of this. I think it's just the actual article versus the tweets. All right, so in the letter initially seen by Reuters, Ford's Jim Farley, GM's Mary Barra, and Stellantis' Carlos Tavares, and Toyota North America's Tetsu Ogawa has urged Congress to eliminate the caps, which apply to any automaker after they sell 200,000 EV units. The CEO cited an over $170 billion investment plan in collectively through the four companies through 2030 as a way to ensure EV development is still underway. I don't know how I feel about this one. A buddy of mine didn't even get to claim his $7,500, but his car still counted against the cap. He was on a fixed income, so so he didn't have enough income to get a tax break. I don't think he got any of it, but if he did, he didn't get the full 7,500. Then you've got folks that do the Tesla stretch, like school teachers or other folks that are young professionals who don't make enough money to get the full 7,500. That it was implemented very poorly. Yes, sweetie. If you want something, wake up and tell me. Do you want milk? No. If she was awake, that would have prompted a response. Very milk motivated. All right, moving on before I get worked up about the taxes. Toyota faces stern critique from European funds for its lackluster EV strategy. Let's stick on the Toyota thing, huh? And they deserve it, really. I mean, like their self-charging electric car, which is really just not even a plug-in hybrid, it's just a hybrid. And they're finally coming out with the BZ4X. And the last time before that they had any electrics were the three times they tried the RAV4 EV. One was in the 90s. Like they could have done better. This guy feels that Toyota's a lost cause. Bigger question is why are people still invested in them? I don't think that they're going to go anywhere fast. I mean, they're huge, but who knows if they'll make it? Their worldview is not in line with where the world is headed. And like, as long as the people buying hybrids and gas cars and plug-in hybrids, they'll be around for the duration of that. But who knows if they'll make it in the EV world once everybody goes to zero emissions. BYD, electrification is accelerating much faster than we thought. Oh, really? People like smooth, quiet cars that are great on fuel in the middle of a fuel crisis? Who would have ever guessed this? The company is selling 100,000 plus plug-in cars per month and is soon expected to launch the BYD Seal model. How big we can grow depends on how much space the market can give. You've got a lot of track ahead of you guys. The Seal received 22,637 pre-orders in 7 hours. Not bad. Just in China on May 20th. The car starts at 31,000 US dollars after subsidies and offers a range on the China cycle of 342 miles. The long range on the China cycle can do 404 to 435 miles. Impressive. So probably 350 miles easily. Let's see the comments on this one. Scroll all the way down, scroll up, and then scroll back down again, yes? BYD is China's largest plug-in manufacturer. I don't know about that. Last year, BYD took fourth place behind Tesla, VW, and SAIC. Given that SAIC is mostly a one-trick pony now, and BYD has more immediate capacity for growth than VW, I think BYD may be coming second this year. Okay. Let's see. Robert saw a Toyota EV today. Yeah, that's right. You were showing me one. I still don't like the styling of it, personally. I see where they're going, and it's competent, but it's just not for me. It's those plastic fenders that don't match that get me. Like, I already didn't like them on the crossovers, like where they had that stupid black rough trim around them instead of body colored. But like the BZ4X, it's got like these like angular fins or whatever. There's like this cheap black plastic, and I don't know. All right, so moving on. So I don't have much value to add to the BYD discussion. We'll talk about LG Energy will produce the 4680 type battery cells in Korea. So we talked about several other battery manufacturers who are jumping on board and doing the 4680s. And we've already heard from Tesla or from Musk anyway, how Tesla will buy whatever you make that meets their requirements and is priced properly. So we've seen Panasonic do it, we've seen LG talk about it, and now we see LG committing to it. I think we may have seen Samsung. I don't recall if Samsung was doing any 4680s or not. They intend to start production next year. I thought that LG was already making 2170s. So I think what might be new is they're making them in South Korea now, as well as making 4680s in South Korea. They're going to invest $568 million to expand their production at the Ochang site. That includes a $450 million investment to add 9 gigawatt hours per year of production capacity of all new 4680 type cells, most likely for Tesla. I mean, is anybody else using 4680s right now? A lot of people using 2170s. Everybody's using 18650s. All right, so 4 gigawatt hours a year of new 2170 production for 116 million at the number one Ochang factory, and 9 gigawatt hours per year in 4680s for a $450 million investment at the number two Ochang factory. Mass production by the second half of 2023. So they will be ready for the Giga Berlin ramp, and they'll probably also be able to send some over to Texas. The Kinlity battery? I'm not familiar with that. Let's tell us more. Then we've got one from The Verge about our friends at Ford. So, Ford has recalled nearly 49,000 Mustang Mach-E's over battery safety issues. The EV could fail to start or become immobile when in motion due to a battery malfunction. What's happening here, in addition to the existing recall we saw on Mach-E's that got the software update from the first model year to the current software, where on those vehicles it would confuse what one of the motors was doing, and it would either go when you wanted it to stop or go in the opposite direction of where you were trying to go aggressively. So that one was bad, and it came through a software update, and then they had to take it to the dealer to fix it because software updates are fixes. Software updates of that nature are repairs, which must be done by the dealership. Also, speaking of Ford, when we saw the Ford Lightning, I noticed that all the ones that we saw did not have a pedestrian warning speaker in the forward direction. So if your boombox is an issue, perhaps we should file a complaint with the NHTSA about how the Lightnings aren't making any noise when they go forward. Personally, I like AVs that don't make any noise, because why do we need more noise pollution? Yes, the whole argument about how deaf people or blind people can't hear the car, but they can. What it was the petition from the lobbyists of the seeing eye dog trainers. They didn't want to add a test for the dogs to see if they could hear the tires running, and so they won, and advertised it, marketed it as, "Oh, we're saving blind people from getting hit by cars." If I hit a blind person in a car, I'm still at fault. So we don't need to make a city full of just humming electrical staticky noises um, because of it. But we also had the we had boombox for a little bit because of it, so that was cool. But now we don't have boombox because these same people were complaining. So that's why I was suggesting perhaps we complain that the trucks don't do it. But anyway, back to the issue at hand. So they've already done the recall for the Mustangs going or stopping when they shouldn't. Now there's a chance that they could become immobile or catch fire if you DC fast charge them or if you go wide open throttle or anywhere near it before this fix is in place. All right, so let's see how they worded it on this particular one. May render the vehicle immobile, the automaker said in a notice. Malfunction involves a potential overheating of the vehicle's battery high voltage contactors, which can lead the vehicle to fail to start or lose power while in motion. An overheated contactor that opens while driving can result in a loss of motive power, which can increase the risk of an accident. Yeah, go figure. Ford says 48,924 Mustang Mach-E vehicles sold in the U.S. are affected by the problem. Nearly half of the 100,000 estimated vehicles produced during that time. It's the latest hiccup after Ford's rollout of its mass-market vehicle that helped propel the automaker to second place in EV sales behind Tesla. Yeah, but Mary led, right? Anyway, 2021 and 2022 model year vehicles built between May 27th, 2020 and May 24th, 2022 at the automaker's Galutin? Anyway, their Mexican plant. Ford sent a notice to its dealers as well, warning them not to deliver any Mustang Mach-E's to customers until a software fix has been issued. And I saw so many people who had been waiting in line for their Mach-E's. They got the notice that it was there, and now they're just complaining they can't pick it up. But as long as you don't take my place in line, I'm fine with this. If you're going to deliver me a car that's unsafe, fix it, and then I'll pick it up. Okay, so Ford says the problem can be fixed with an over-the-air update, which will be issued next month. Mustang Mach-E owners can also take their vehicles to Ford or Lincoln dealership for a more immediate software fix. So what I'm not understanding here is this just in the states where it's not illegal to repair vehicles via software in over the air, or is this gonna end up getting them sued for doing this? Because a lot of those dealer agreements are pretty strict, and then certain states make it so that you can't get around them. Or are there exceptions? Like I've seen other cases in other places where even though they have a very strict software policy, there are allowed like 1 or 2 exceptions per year. I don't remember if this was computers or if this was what industry this was, but they had these packages they could push out twice a year that would it didn't matter what was in them. This isn't Ford, obviously, but I wonder if they have something like that. Ford has not issued instructions to stop driving vehicles under the safety recall. Yikes. You can't sell them, and you shouldn't DC fast charge them, and you shouldn't go wide open throttle, but they didn't say don't stop driving them. I think we saw 2 Mach-E's on our trip yesterday. A whole mess of Model 3s and Model Ys, a couple of old Model S's, old meaning they had nose cones. And anyway, let's continue about this Ford thing. It doesn't appear to affect the Lightning because they're not built in the Mexican plant. The company reports selling 6,254 electric vehicles in May, representing a 222% year-over-year increase and about 4.2% of Ford's sales volumes. The Mach-E represents the bulk of those sales of 5,179 vehicles. There we go. EV Smoke got the comments on YouTube working. There we go. Let's see. So this isn't the first speed bump in the Mustang's short history. Ford was delayed rolling out the EV in spring 2021 for extra quality checks, and they also issued a handful of recalls for unintended acceleration, improperly attached seatbelts, loose subbolt frames. They didn't even mention the windshield that could come off and the roof that could come off. But like I said, everybody has recalls. So long as they fix them and do the right thing, that's all that really matters. That and nobody gets injured. That's even more important than any of that. Spokesperson said that the problem affects 924 Mustang Mach-E sold in the U.S., nearly half A previous version said that nearly all of the vehicles could be affected. Okay, so yeah, that is an update from when I found the story. So it's been updated to include a quote. Where'd it go? Ford spokesperson regarding the company not including a stop driving notice in the recall. And update the headline of the story has been updated to emphasize the recall over the dealer notice. Okay. Yeah, it's more important that this is recall than they told them to stop selling them. Absolutely. Omar says, Happy Father's Day. Thank you, Omar. Happy Father's Day to everybody out there again. So let's see. This one is fun. So I mentioned that Tesla insurance is now available for me here in Virginia. Soon it will be available in Florida and Maryland. And as I mentioned, that the Tesla insurance is very affordable. However, for me, it was not a good deal because of the bundle and because I already have a really good rate with really high coverage. There was a monetary savings by switching to Tesla, but for me, it would have lost a third of my coverages. So I could stick with my current provider and probably still get savings without having to drive the car for the safety score. Dan says, Happy Father's Day, Dawood and Kacey, and Happy Father's Day to you too, Dan. All right, so then they're telling you about how Tesla insurance works, which we've discussed at length here on the show. So I'm going to give you back those minutes. Copy this link and go here. So Tesla builds the first Model Y with single-piece front and rear castings and structural battery pack at Giga Berlin. Right on time from us seeing that robot go in. They're talking about how Giga Texas earlier this year was the only Tesla factory making a single front piece, single rear piece with the structural pack. And now, Giga Berlin looks to be going that way as well. Recently built 3 Model Ys with structural battery pack. Not bad. Now, that's going to be a long way before we see them go serial. And I wonder if this might be why the plant is spooling so slowly. Because if you're already set up for 18650s, or sorry, 2170s, and you had plans to make the structural pack, why spin it all the way up when you just want to make sure that the team can work together? Then replace those with the structural pack. Because there was talk of putting 2170s as a contingency in Texas, and I don't know that that actually happened. We haven't seen any reports that it did. Yes, sweetie. Anyway, unfortunately, the only part that didn't make it to Greenhide was the 4680 battery cells. Instead, the structural pack was put together with the dummy material inside to mimic actual cells so the vehicles are undrivable. See, I still think that here, if they were to put in 2170s as a structural pack, which is not impossible, but I guess, why re-engineer it? It's not impossible, so why not do that? I mean, depending on how hard the engineering is, that I guess you'd only really want to do that if that was going to be a permanent solution. But the way Elon says prototypes are easy. Do a prototype of 2170 structural pack. The facility is not expected to become operational until later this year, meaning Giga Texas is the sole source of 4680 cells for the foreseeable future, which is not entirely true because Cato Road also makes 4680 cells, and Panasonic and LG and maybe Samsung are on the way for next year. Giga Texas is currently producing enough cells to make about 2,000 cars per month, and there's not enough extra supply to send to other factories, meaning Model Y structural pack won't be rolling off Giga Berlin's production lines until the German battery factory goes online. We still don't know the output of Cato Road. They didn't shut it down. Aaron, John, if Texas is only 4680 source, then what's being done at Cato Road? It's, same thought there. 2022 run rate goal at Cato is 10 gigawatt hours, if I remember correctly, and it's been in production longer than Texas, much longer. So Austin is producing Model Ys with single structural cast, hinted at but not started. What? Yes, they showed it off the whole presentation. Yeah, 3 large pieces. Oh, I gotta log into. At least it showed up in another window. I'm not a robot. Log in. Okay, there we go. Already 1 or 2 Model Ys out with the 4680 cells, but not the front end single piece yet. What? No, it's done. Like literally, they had a party about this thing in Texas. Robert says EV show on EV. They had 12-volt sockets instead of UBC, so that you could sell the car. I don't know. I think you can get a 12-volt socket from a USB-C if it's got power delivery. Might not be the right amount of amps though, depending on what you're going for though. I'm actually looking for a couple of the barrel plug adapters from USB-C. I think that's going to be more flexible for what we have going forward. All right, so that's enough of this. Let's move on to the next thing. Copy the link, paste and go. Oh, so I knew there were more Elon tweets, but he just got a little full of it this week, so I didn't want to keep going through. Don't build moats, build tech trees. A meme about how you would read this. He got mad because he did read it the way they said he would read it. And then Serene asks, when's the orbital flight happening, Elon Musk? Is it July possible? And a picture of Starship. Starship will be ready to fly next month, as I was in the high bay and mega bay late last night reviewing the progress. That's good. Elon says we'll have a second Starship stack ready to fly in August and then monthly thereafter. Insane. Looking forward to each one. Do you have some photos? Apparently I'm not allowed to like Ava Fox's tweets for whatever reason. Internet's undefeated. Anyway, yeah. So that was good news there for Starship. I'm looking forward to that. I would love to attend the launch. I don't know if we'll be able to make the first launch, but I would certainly try. Timothy says, greetings from Arizona. Happy Dad's Day, Kacey, and everyone. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. So next we've got copy link, paste, go. Okay, so that was me practicing what I learned, which was to keep the whole thread in my notes just in case, because you never know with Twitter. But SpaceX will only be allowed 5 full stack launches a calendar year from Boca Chica. 1 full stack launch a month beginning this August would take care of this year's allotment, but next year onwards, you folks will be limited to 1 launch every other month from Starbase. How soon can the team get Starship facilities at Kennedy Space Center launch ready? Very good points. I didn't actually read the FAA document. I knew it included a lot of stuff that didn't seem related. I figured that once they know how to land them, they fly once from Boca Chica, land them on Demios, and then float to the Cape. Ah, we don't even know if Phobos and Demios are making any progress. That's a good point. Those are the drone ships for Starship. Just like we have Shortfall of Gravitas, Just Read the Instructions, and of course I Still Love You for Falcon 9. Let's see. Hopefully they get permission to fly more from Boca Chica, otherwise they'll have to shift most production to the Cape. Yeah, because the whole point of this Falcon 9 was as large as you can make it and transport over the whole network. Unless they plan to I mean, it is on water, unless they plan to put Starship on a barge, just like the Saturn V was. A lot of it was transported over water. They could do that. I don't know if they're in the Gulf, so I think they should be fine if it will float. That's an option for them. Also worth questioning how many starships they'll even need in the fleet for Earth orbit, since once they are fully and rapidly reusable. Mars is a different story, of course. Yeah, Mars. Gwen said they'll need hundreds per window, so they're going to need to make a lot of them. That's why developing new uses is critical. Starlink will soak up a lot, with V2 being 10 times the capacity. Refilling for beyond Earth orbit takes a lot. It'll need point-to-point and new projects like a big rotating commercial space station. Yeah. Yeah, once the cost of orbit comes down, use cases will take off, though it'll take some time for the market to really catch on. With point-to-point, I'm not sure if they're actually allowed to operate outside the US. Yeah, that's a matter of permits, and you do have to clear that first, because point-to-point looks like an ICBM, because it essentially is, except for the explodey bits. You launch it, it goes ballistic, and then it's got to flip and land wherever it's allowed to get into other people's airspace. But if you launch something that big and pointy at a country that fast, they will probably want to shoot it down. So that'll be interesting to see how they get their approvals and permits for point-to-point. But I would love to be able to visit Thailand in an hour instead of 22 hours. Assuming we even got a direct flight, it's probably over 22 hours, because you got to get the connections. Let's see. Dan says, I want to get my kids to a SpaceX launch. Son actually pays attention during the last 2 minutes of the countdown. Yeah. Yeah, we did the Crew Dragon Demo 1, or demo the uncrewed one, where they had the dummy in there. And then we had the Falcon Heavy initial launch, where they launched the car. Those are the ones we went to in person. Those were fun. How long till civilians can be passengers, Elon? That's also a good question. Flying in space is not fun. Your life depends on the ground crew, technology, accuracy. All you see is a blue marble like Earth rotating under a blank space with sun shining like a flashlight in darkness. Feeling weightless and fearing burning during reentry. Space travel for what? Yeah, I'm downvoted you. Negative Nancy. Okay, pessimistic poet. Fortune telling. I see SpaceX. I see Boca Chica and a lot of starships. Jesus, that's a lot of starships. All right. Let's move on to the next one. Lee says, hey, and happy Father's Day. Hey, Lee. Thank you. All right. And this one says, one step closer to the orbital launch of Starship. Let's see who tweeted this. Probably Elon. Nope. Oh, okay. So this is the FAA document that I didn't read yet. I'm going to put a link in the chat so that you all can see it too. Go through it, find anything interesting. I know some of you have already seen it, but those of you that haven't, here it is. Okay, so let's do the highlights here. I clicked where I'm not clicked. There we go. That might be where the button wasn't working when I hit enter. So who the FAA is, who SpaceX is, project updates. They mitigated the finding of no significant impact or record of decision. They determined that the proposed action would not result in significant environmental consequences, and has issued a mitigated finding of no significant impact or record of decision. That's good. So basically, they're allowed to operate. Required mitigation measures are listed throughout Chapter 3. Should any future license or permit be issued to SpaceX to perform any aspect of the proposed action, the FAA will ensure that SpaceX implements these mitigation measures as conditions for the licensure. So they had a biological opinion. As part of the Endangered Species Act, Section 7, consultation processes, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service issued a biological opinion which concludes the proposed action is not likely to jeopardize the continued existence of any federally listed species or adversely modified critical habitat. The BO is included in PEA Appendix D and is available here with a link to the PDF. All right, talking about their programmatic agreement as part of the Historic Preservation Act, Section 106, consultation process, FAA, Texas State Historic Preservation Officer, all these other people. The PA, Omar. Hello, Omar.
Hello. Happy Father's Day.
Thank you.
And happy Juneteenth.
Happy Juneteenth. Absolutely. So this is really cool. The FAA agreement shows that they'll be able to launch Starship. One Peter was saying they only get 5 a year, which would be fine for this year, but curious. So they got background and stay informed. So yeah, if you want to read it, you can get a link to all their tweets and the index and the. So that was the summary. We just read the whole summary right there. In fact, I need to contact these guys so I can do my my commercial drone license.
Wait, what is this? So they're giving them permission to launch, or no?
This is their findings for their environmental assessment. They've got a couple things they need to address, and then a couple of other things like I think it was like what was it? The Native American heritage history, something or other, stuff that needs to be done, but doesn't necessarily feel related on the outset. And once they get all those final checkboxes checked, they are good to go.
Okay.
Yeah. Robert says hello.
Hello. Thanks for watching.
Absolutely. All right, so then I've got another link here, which I think is probably just the PDF. So let me see what happens when I paste this into chat in the browser. Nope, it's a tweet. One step closer to the first orbital flight of Starship. One step closer to Mars. Slashdot says epic. 15 seconds of a child having fun on a motorcycle in 1927. Did they have them back then? I didn't realize.
That's interesting.
All right.
Well, wait a minute. How is that powered?
Gas?
Or
Gas.
probably. It could have been electric.
The batteries were too small back then. Same energy. Kind of look more like Jack Atlas. Happy child. What's the logic behind this? I mean, why they thought about sitting inside the wheel. Anyway, let's get back on track. All right. Omar, is your laptop plugged into power? I'm hearing a ground click.
You're hearing the ground?
Yeah. I got thump, 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 thump.
Oh, that's interesting. It's coming from me. Let me try to see. Maybe it's my earpiece.
Could be.
Maybe it's an issue with that.
Could be the signaling. So California is reaching 100% renewable electricity at times. As we talked about, they went to 104% for a couple of moments. It shouldn't be me because it wasn't doing it earlier, and I changed nothing.
Okay. Let me try to just go with my camera mic.
All right.
How are we now? Can you hear me? You can hear me though, right?
I think it's better. Okay, so
Okay.
Oh, there we go. So 103% of the state's power being met by renewables for a few hours. So this is kind of like a rehash of what we already talked about. They're doing it more and more. Good news. Moving on. I mean, give your time back. We're not going to discuss the same story again unless something new happened, right?
Yep.
Tesla is looking at sites in Canada and Mexico for the next North American factory.
That's
I said,
interesting.
yeah. So this one we did discuss on the Tesla Live show, and I suggested that it might make sense to pick Canada first because of tariffs and tax credits and all those sorts of things. And where I see Mexico making more sense is the cheaper labor. And
Right. So that's
everybody
that's
else moved
why
their
I
cars.
thought that's why when I first saw this, I thought, oh, it's probably going to be Mexico.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody else moved their plants to Mexico for this reason.
Exactly.
But then Mark pointed out, as a resident Canadian, Mark and Hockey Day both brought up that all the materials we need to make these cars are in Canada. You got nickel, you got lithium, and then of course you got skilled labor force up there too.
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Dan thought I was patting the baby.
So if the nickel was coming from Canada, then maybe it makes sense to do Canada.
Yeah. Plus whatever incentives they can get, because right now, remember, there's no Teslas that qualify for the Canadian uh, consumer tax credit anymore. Now that the 100 mile Model Y or Model 3, whatever one it was, has been canceled.
Yeah, and they got those high tariffs and
Right. Yeah. And you got more people up there who can buy it currently. Not that you don't have people in Mexico who can buy it, but you have more people in Canada who can buy it, is my understanding.
it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah. Dan thought it was me patting the baby. That should be filtered, but for some reason her cries are not being filtered. Baby crying should be filtered, but this is a different filtering app on the Mac than what I use on the PC, so I don't know. And I would think, let me just run this in virtual machine on the Mac, but the Mac doesn't have an NVIDIA graphics card, so I can't do that. This will be interesting to watch. I'm curious to see which way they lean, and if they do a country bidding war to see if they want to see if Mexico or Canada fights for it. I don't know that either will, but there's plenty of benefits to choosing either one, and that would also give them a little independence from whatever happens politically here. Because as we know, that Elon is having a little bit of a tantrum because some people who aren't really Democrats called him mean names. Talking about Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren and a bunch of other uber lefties like Ocasio-Cortez and his local politicians. So
Well,
that was
politicians are going to politic. That's what they do.
they will,
So,
but that would also solve his issue of getting back at them by getting it out of their control, right?
hmm.
Without his other solution of, hey, it doesn't work, so I'm just going to vote for the pigeon that knocks over the board and poops on it and says he won anyway.
Yeah, but here's the thing: it's not like he's going to move all of his stuff all out of America.
No, he's not going to move out of America.
So it did. So by him adding on in Canada or adding on in Mexico,
Right.
I mean, it doesn't matter. He still has a huge footprint here, so he still has
Right.
to deal with whatever the politics are here.
Right. But I was suggesting that perhaps because the politics made him upset, that maybe now the next plant won't be in the U.S. for the next North American plant, but um, he can still have a North American plant and keep it out of their control by putting it in Mexico or Canada. And depending on what they react to that, you can always either just sell locally to Mexico and Canada or export from there. And I
Oh
don't think
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't think
yeah.
there's much
That's
they
true.
could do about it though, because when you look at it, like Ford and GM, they've got their plants in Canada and Mexico because they were being cheap buggers. And so the laws are already set up. Like you've got NAFTA, you've got whatever Trump's abomination, the USMCA. That's why we can't get the baby formula easily. So yeah, so they are already set up to import automobiles unless there's some stipulation that it has to be sold to a dealer in those treaties, which I really doubt. So
No, I think they're good. Yeah.
he gets to go meh, and then still actually make some business.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, if they can make the cars cheaper in either Mexico or Canada, they could do their cheaper version of the car that they wanted to do.
Yeah,
Remember, they've always part of the plan was to try
the
to get a
bottlenecks.
cheaper version eventually
Yeah,
that they can sell to the everyday person instead of the more affordable. So
right.
for the masses.
Yeah, and
So
that would solve
if
his.
they can get that vehicle done in either
Yeah,
Mexico or Canada, and then I mean they can just import that into the U.S. and sell
yeah.
them like hotcakes.
Exactly. And that would also solve his problem of, like, if they make Model Next just in China, that gives them a single point of failure. So if they make the net Model Next in China and Mexico or Canada, then they've got worldwide distribution no matter what happens in China, and then they've got the ability to export from one of those two places, from a place that has China problems, like India right now won't accept any cars from China. Um, they'll hardly accept cars from outside of India, as we saw with their 100% markup.
Right.
But then paying double for a car from China is just not palatable to the customers right now. So that would solve them. There's other places that are like that, but India was just an extreme example of that sentiment right there. Let's see. Monaco says she got something to say. She's always got something to say. And it clicked off. And so much from baby from the name of throwing it away here. All right, so let's move on from that. This will be something we're going to watch, just like we watched all the other Gigafactories come up. It'll be exciting to see which country gets it, and then how long it takes to build, what the regulations look like. So I suspect that if Mexico gets it, it'll be closer to a Shanghai build, and if Canada gets it, it'll be somewhere between an Austin and a Berlin build, as far as regulations and environmental reviews and astroturfing companies. I think there'll be less astroturfing companies in Canada than there were in Germany, just because the German autos don't control Canada. And I suspect we'll probably still get some of those same concerns in Mexico, but they won't be as robust as they could be anywhere else in the world that they've built a plant so far, or Canada. Personally, it's my opinion. What do you think, Omar?
I don't know. I just think it's going to be real interesting to see what happens. I'm just looking forward to it because the future looks so bright. It's like everybody's Tesla's mission is actually being accomplished. Everybody's moving towards electric, and by Tesla constantly keeping their foot on the throttle, everybody has to try to keep up. They're all trying to play catch up, and as long as Tesla keeps moving forward, more factories here, there, whether it's Canada and Mexico, whether it's here, it's Shanghai, you got Giga Berlin, you got all these things going on. It's just going to keep the pressure on everybody.
Exactly.
So we're moving forward. It's progress. So
bringing about that future free from fossil fuels. Thanks, Patrick. All right, so Germany resumes 3-shift operation at Zigwoo, and around I know I butchered that pronunciation, but it was pretty close, I think. Around 1,300 electric cars roll off the production line every workday. Wow.
A day.
Not bad. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, are they all electric? Volkswagen announced on Monday its main electric production site in Zigwoo. Anyway, Germany has resumed 3-shift operations. So yeah, it is mostly electric, or all electric. The production lines were halted in late February due to parts supply issues, specifically wiring harnesses from Ukraine. Yeah,
that's a tough problem for everybody.
It is, and as we said back then, it was the right thing to do because people's lives are more important than a handful of cars. But it's always nice to see some fossil-free cars make it out there, because we need that for the world. At least until we don't have any cars. I don't think that we'll ever be car-free in my lifetime.
ID3, ID4, ID5.
Mm-hmm. And the e-tron.
Q4. Okay.
And the Cooper Born. The one that looks exactly like a VW, but better somehow. I think it's your sound card, Omar, because it's still doing it now.
It's still doing it.
Yeah. So if you got like a USB or Bluetooth, that might bypass it.
Well, that's what I was using before, was Bluetooth.
Huh. Weird. And or maybe it was still doing it anyway, like it didn't pick the Bluetooth. Mine does that sometimes. It's like, oh, you picked a microphone? Let's use the webcam. It's like, no.
Oh, you mean maybe? No, that's possible.
Yeah.
All right, let me try to go back to Bluetooth and then see if.
Okay. At the very least, even if it's still doing this, it'll be clearer. All right, so let's move on to the next story while you get that loaded up. All right, so this one's coming from Facebook, and so let me see. I don't know if that's a public group or not, so I'll just click it. Oh, not there. It opened in the wrong window. I'll click it again, and I think it's a public group. Yeah, it says public group.
Wait, so how do I sound now?
You sound closer.
Okay.
And
using my now.
the clicking seems to be gone. Or at the very least, it's changed. All right, so it's a public group, so I'll just share the whole thing. All right, so Stuart shares that charging technology provider EV Safe Charge has unveiled Ziggy, a mobile robot that can charge an EV wherever it's parked. Through its ability to recharge itself via different energy sources and summoning feature, Ziggy can alleviate the need for installing specific charging stalls for EV charging, as any spot can now become a spot to recharge. So we showed something similar in a parking garage in, was it Germany? Where they had these mobile units that were like half this height, no advertisement. So this is like a cross between Volta and that system. They would, it would, actually no, it was 2 units. So it might have been like it would have been something like this. It was one unit was the robot to move the battery packs over to your car. It would open up the charge port, plug you in, and then it would go back to base. I don't remember what episode that would have been on, but we showed that, and it was pretty cool. This seems to be a similar concept to that, but also with the Volta free advertising on the side. Hey, this car is being charged. Get a Starbucks.
That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know what's going to eventually be cheaper once, with electric cars being more and more popular. Would it be cheaper to install basically a place to plug in at each spot? Or is it cheaper to buy a whole bunch of these robots? Because remember, the robot charging up the car afterwards has to go and recharge itself.
Yeah, so it won't be as energy efficient because you're doing a double conversion. However, if you don't anticipate having a lot of people that need to charge or a large percentage of EVs, or if your retrofit cost is just astronomical, then this seems to be a good way to go. However, if you're building a new facility, it's a lot cheaper to, even if you don't fill the spaces in right away, if you just put in an empty conduit that can take the chargers, then that's probably your best bet right there. And it'd be more efficient as you're only doing a single conversion.
I mean, even if you put just as, like you said, from new construction, it's a lot cheaper. Even if you just put in a bunch of outlets, everybody bring their own plug.
Yeah,
like that's a cheaper way to go. That would still give a lot of charging. But it's good to have options. I like the little robot because if you don't anticipate needing a ton of spots, and you can charge people for it, you can advertise on it, so you can make money off of it 2 different ways. By charging people for the service.
And then you've also got the this one doesn't look like it plugs itself in because you see that cable has no articulation. So I don't know if they have an attendant or if you as the owner do that. You call it up and then plug it in and walk away. And then when you want to leave, you unplug it and say, get out of here. I think it was a combination with Volkswagen that showed off the other robot, with the 2-part monster.
I think the big piece with the robots is they would have to have a designated spot in the parking garage somewhere for the robots.
They did. It was like down near the
wirelessly charge.
Exactly. It was down near the and they conductively charged actually. It was down near like the janitor's closet at the base near the elevator compartment. So they would go down the ramps and they would just put out 2 pins on these 2 pads and they would conductively charge. So it wasn't as much loss as you could have expected having a system in that fashion, because it wasn't wirelessly charging on top of the double conversion. It was conductively charged. But But the cool thing with that was if you needed more charge than the one battery would provide, that robot could bring another battery pack as the other one hit the 20% mark or whatever you, as the owner, set it to for longevity of your equipment. They could just bring another pack and then swap the first one out and keep on going, which I thought was pretty cool. This is another take on it, but it clearly has a human element with that cable set up the way it is. The other good thing about doing it this way is you can be more technology agnostic. Like we've had J1772 since the beginning in the 90s. We didn't have a J1772 socket, otherwise Tesla would have shipped that on their cars. We had the Avcon and the Magna paddles. They both signal J1772 signals. But then we finally got the J1772 connector that we have here in the States, and the Menkes or Type 2 connector that you've got in Europe. We got them later. So the concept that the signaling is going to be the same, but the connector could still possibly change in the future. I mean, because if we start going more towards the Hummer style packs at 200 kilowatt hours, 80 amps is not going to get you done anytime soon. But as we see with the Ford, with a normal 100 change kilowatt hour pack, 80 amps will get you done real quick, like in a couple hours, like 4.
Right. So my hope is I don't think it's going to be sustainable to really mass produce vehicles in the numbers that we need with battery packs as huge as the Hummer's battery pack. I just don't see
either,
that.
yeah.
I don't see that being the direction that we're going to go.
Right.
I think they're just going to keep trying to make the cars more efficient and make better use of the power that they have, and actually end up with smaller battery packs if they can. Just like what was the car? I think it was the Lightyear one, or
yes. The solar car.
Yes, their whole concept is they're adding tons of solar all over the entire, basically, surface of the car, and they made it super slick and super aerodynamic, and then they can put a much smaller battery pack in for more range.
Exactly.
So it's all about the efficiency there. So I think as we move forward, as the technology gets better and they can add more energy density to the battery packs and such, they can actually make battery packs smaller, and I'm seeing them, be able to reduce weight, make it more efficient, and that's the sustainable way to go.
Definitely. And so I pointed out the changing in the charging connector for a reason. You'll see that later in the show. Not that I suspect that we're going to change the connector for the consumer automobile anytime soon. That would be worse than Tesla keeping the Tesla plug. That'd be inventing a whole another plug on a consumer car, and I think that would be the worst way that one could go without any appreciable benefit. So you'll see where I'm going with that in a minute, and you, don't worry if you're buying a car today. It's got the Tesla connector with the adapter, or if it's the J1772 CCS car, you're fine. I don't think that they are going to change anytime soon. But there is another connector coming. All right, so the Rivian R1S delays deliveries again, and that's not good news. So the R1S has been perpetually delayed. They've got a handful of them delivered so far. One of them belongs to an employee for sure, and if you wanted the SUV instead of the truck, you just keep waiting. So let's see. The email from RJ. Things are looking good for R1S. Particularly good news. They tried to raise your price and they went back on it, which is good. Let's get to the point. Where's the email? All right. So thank you for your pre-order and your commitment for helping us create a more sustainable world. As we continue to assess our supply chain and build plans, we want to provide an update on your estimated delivery window. Your Launch Edition R1S estimated delivery window is now October to December of 2022. The delivery window estimate is based on your pre-order date, delivery location, and current configuration. Here's why your window has shifted. 1. Supply chain. As we've continued to navigate a tight supply chain, we've had to reduce the complexity wherever possible, including prioritizing certain builds combinations over others. Service infrastructure. We continue to prioritize deliveries in locations where service infrastructure is in place, so we can provide full ownership experience to Rivian customers from day one. That number 2 makes sense. Although Aptera doesn't seem to care, since they have right to repair and full service manuals and everything. Like, hey, if we're not there and we can't send a Ranger, go to your mechanic. Here's the book. which I like. But I don't know that Rivian is necessarily a right to repair company. I think they're more like a Tesla and everybody else. Like, hey, we're going to fix it for you. I don't know.
Well, I mean, so would it be more economical for them to fix it themselves? Because you think about it, if anything goes wrong with the vehicles early
That's true.
on,
If it's under warranty,
it's going to be warranty repairs, right? Or is it going to be better for them to pay your local mechanic to do it, because it's still going to need a warranty repair? It's just like, oh yeah, fill out this paperwork and get your money from us. I mean, which one's going to be more? Which one's going to be better for them? You know,
you bring up a really good point. I wonder how Terra is going to do that for warranty repairs outside of the zone. Are they going to be like, hey, here's a voucher, or are they going to be like, hey, Mr. Customer, they don't take your insurance. Here's your copay, and they give you $1,000 for the repair, and whatever it was, if it was $2,000 repair, you got to eat the rest. I wonder if it'll be like insurance for the doctors.
I mean, how's it going to work? I don't know.
It might be. It might be. Or, oh, that's not covered. Sorry. But here's how to fix it. No, there's no way you can sell a brand new car for $26,000 to $46,000 without a warranty. I don't see them doing that. But now that you bring it up, I totally see it being the way of health insurance.
I mean, it's warranty repair, right? Because you have to have a warranty.
Yes.
No car is going to sell without a warranty. Nobody's going to buy it.
Right. So
you're going to have some type of warranty. So if you need some type of repair done that's under warranty, that falls under those guidelines, then what?
Exactly.
You got to have a way to do it.
Even custom built cars, like, hey, we built you off this hand built one-off thing for the show. They have some level of workmanship guarantee on them. Like, if you drive it to the show and like the mirror falls off, they're not going to be like, oh well. They're like, oh yeah, we'll get that for you after the show. Come bring it back and we'll glue it back on or screw it in or whatever the case may be.
Right.
Yeah. So, I'm not ragging on Rivian here. We just tend to cover all the news. I don't, especially like with Tesla stuff, we don't like to sugarcoat it. So that's all this is.
Like Elon always said, mass production is hard.
It is hard. So, yes.
And one of the difficulties in mass production is your supply chain.
Yes.
And your suppliers. And you get economies of scale. And as you scale up, though, when you're still making them in relatively small volume compared to everybody else, it's really hard because you're not getting that advantage of the economies of scale yet. Exactly. And it's tough. So it's really hard. That ramp up is the hardest part. So, they're still trying to figure it out.
Yeah. It is
I wish them well. I really hope Rivian, and I think Rivian will make it. There's certain car companies that just aren't going to make it. I think Rivian eventually will figure it out. And they make a really compelling product that people want. So that's the good thing.
Yeah. Would you like some milk? Oh, you just want to sleep some more? Okay. Well, then stop all that crying. Just sleep.
She just wanted to say Happy Father's Day.
She doesn't need change, because when she wants change, it's bloody murder. You had a bad dream? Oh, yeah, kiss yourself. Here, let's use this on your neck here. Yeah, let's get this on your neck here. Yeah, like that. And then I give you this milk, huh? You want it? Milk? Milk? There you go. What are you fighting it for? You want it? Like, this is delicious. So, folks have seen the Tesla Semi undergoing long-range testing in California. This particular unit was spotted all over California. They've determined that they have different numbers on the doors, and the ones they saw were all this same number, whereas some of the other numbers were not spotted. So, we saw some videos like this one from John, Tesla owners, Silicon Valley. Thankfully, somebody clipped the video. It used to be longer. There it is. And then we saw one from not a big Tesla Twitter, Austin B on Facebook here. See his mirror. And listen to the sounds of this truck. It's still clearly a truck, but it's much quieter than a regular semi.
I wish all trucks were that quiet.
You do. Hear the regen?
Yeah, but you're not hearing those brakes squeak and squeal and.
Right. I kind of wish he kept it going a little bit further, like so we could hear like the air brakes do their thing.
Yeah.
That is phenomenal. And so here we can see that they all are MNR-16. I'm excited. I'm so excited for this.
I thought they were already testing their trucks by. I mean, the best way I think to test their trucks is put a load on them. Like
they've done that too.
Stuff.
They've been delivering battery
transport
packs.
Teslas with them.
Well,
they got to transport their stuff.
Right. They've done
their own stuff.
They've done a photo op of it delivering Teslas with the car carrier, but the car carrier trailer is really specific. It doesn't really fit with this fairing. But what they have been doing in the past, aside from just carrying concrete and iron, is they've been delivering battery packs from Nevada to Fremont.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think what's happening here is like this one was spotted all over California in one day. So that's what triggered this.
Oh, that's probably a range test there.
Range test, or like how many times they can recharge it, or who knows what. But like it was substantial compared to what they are used to seeing with this thing. That's why it generated an article, even though it wasn't towing any load this time. The other thing I'm wondering is maybe they were just a day of meetings. Like, hey, here, go to all the clients who've ordered this thing and show them it's real. Keep their deposit in place.
It could be.
Yeah. Let's see.
And what better way to transport it from place to place than to drive it?
Exactly. So let's now go. Keeping it on Tesla. Tesla has sued the Tesla beer maker in China over trademark infringement.
Does China even honor trademark at all? Like,
not often. Really... But don't forget that Tesla is a real Chinese company as well.
Now they have that's true.
Shanghai.
That's true.
Yeah, so you have a little more standing when you're local. So obviously it's got to be Tesla China has sued. Yep, according to court documents filed by Tesla Shanghai Co. Limited. Yep. Tesla China is sued. The company is accusing Sino of using its lawful trademarks and requesting 5 million won, of $742,000 in compensation. At least they're not trying to break them. They're like, hey, stop that. Let's make it noticeable. Give us $1 million.
Right.
Right. It looks like it might be tasty. So basically, what they're going on here is they've got Gigabeer, and their name is Tesla. And that's very close. That looks like their logo. It's very clear what they were up to, and I don't blame them for protecting themselves.
That looks a lot like a Tesla T to me.
It does. I mean, look at that. This one here, and that one there. I mean, yep.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that one goes. We'll find out more and let you know when we find it. All right. So, oh yeah, we already talked about LG and the cells earlier in the show. Sometimes I end up with duplicates of articles just because of my process. Why do you sleep drinking milk? Give me that back. You said, oh. All right, so this one was disappointing and exciting and WTF all at the same time. Eddie says, I haven't seen one yet. Then again, I don't do interstates a lot, so it's referring to the Tesla Semi. Dan says, Giga Beer, when you really want to do it big too. What? Uh-oh, laughing.
Dan is that's a good slogan.
All right, so the Cadillac Celestiq is going to be an EV, and I think this is a reuse of one of their old brand names, if I'm not mistaken. It's going to be hand-built following $81 million investment from GM. So they're going to hand-build these cars. They're going to cost $200,000. And they said it's going to be low volume. which makes sense because when you hand build something, you can't build it as fast as if you assembly line machined it up correctly. So I guess it's going to be the ultimate in luxury. Mary's going to lead the $200,000 electric car market in resold Hummers and new Celestiques.
Okay, I mean that's cute. It's great for the people that can afford that and that want something luxury, exotic, and different, and that not a lot of people have, and that status symbol thing.
Right.
That's
although I don't know if I was looking for status symbol. If I'd look at a Cadillac personally, I would be like, "Hey, give me an electric McLaren, get me an electric Ferrari." Or
hey, listen, they're trying to bring it back. Once upon a time, the Cadillac was a status symbol.
They were.
They made songs about pink Cadillac and whatnot, right?
Did.
So
they did.
They're trying to bring it back.
That's true. You can't get it back if you don't give them something that they might like. You have a point. And to electrify all the things, that means all the things. Including
that market too. So
luxury barges, exactly. So GM is only anticipating they'll sell a few hundred units per year. The exclusivity that comes with a high price tag as the Celestiq is expected to sell for more than $200,000. So more than okay. So Maybach. Too bad you don't make an electric Maybach yet, do you? Or do they? I think the AMG made a specialized version of that Mercedes S-Class, but I don't think that Maybach was making a version of it yet that I'm aware of.
I don't think so, but they should.
They should. But will they?
We'll see. We have to wait and see. I thought
$51,000 8-seater EV bargain. Yeah.
What was that other super high brand that was
making EVs?
There was another one that they were talking about.
Rolls was making one.
Yeah, Rolls. That was it. Rolls were talking about making EVs. So
yeah, I think Bentley talked about it. I don't know if the Bentley showed us anything, but the Rolls looked impractical. But again, like you said at the time, it's a concept, so it doesn't have to actually function. So we'll see what they actually come out with. So the Celestiq will be based on GM's Ultium platform, because
of course
you start for something that exists, then build it by hand on top of it. It'll feature some firsts, such as including a smart glass roof that allow each passenger to set their own level of roof transparency. Didn't they do that for the Lyric? How's it a first?
No,
I've already done it.
Not for over each passenger. It can be a different setting.
So that was the whole roof.
Gotcha. Right. I think it was with the whole roof.
Okay, so that would be a first. It'll have a massive display that stretches the width of the car. Yeah, Mercedes said that too, and it was like 6 displays under one piece of glass.
Right.
But at $200,000, it could actually be. Although at the same time, the EQS is what, 115, 150, and it's serially produced. It's not hand built. Good luck, Cadillac. Good luck.
Well, yeah. Good luck with that.
We'll see more when it actually comes out. Maybe we'll get a chance to let us have a ride in their car.
How are those Bolt EUVs working out? Like how are the Bolts doing?
Not very well. They just had a price drop. I don't know if I got that in the article or not, but they had a price drop on it.
They did. They had a big price drop, and I mean, so are they trying to sell them at a loss? Like, what's going on here?
I think they're just trying to get the pump primed again, get it moving again.
But I mean, because the supply chain prices are all going up,
right?
So for them to drop prices down, like what? I mean,
right? You can't sell them for less when they cost you more to make.
You're willing to take a loss just to get some more of them out there, just to get people's confidence back in them. Like, no, these really aren't catching fire. Go ahead and buy them.
I think it's they're trying to keep their tax credits for the emissions credits.
Oh, that too, yeah.
Because if you planned on selling 50,000 Bolts and you only sell 24, you're gonna have to pay for them emissions credits in cash. So it might be better just to give a discount to your customer and just eat that than. Yeah, I think you should. Give you a little more room to roam about. You get longer range, you get more elbow room. But
I honestly like the EUV. I like the look of it.
Yeah,
I like it.
I was disappointed when I saw my first actual Bolt, like the regular one, and I was like, that thing is like the size of a Honda Fit, but taller. And in the pictures, it looks so much bigger. So I felt like I'd been false advertised. I mean, but for what it is, it's great, and it does what it's supposed to do. It's just that I had been taken in by their marketing pictures, and
Well,
I should have
I
read the
wasn't
numbers.
shocked when I wasn't shocked when I saw my first Volt, but I felt that way about the Volt when I first saw the Volt in person.
Well, everybody felt that way about the Volt because they showed us that sleek looking sports car, and we got that rounded monster.
No, but I thought the Volt was going to be bigger than it was though.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
When I saw it in person, I was like, oh, this thing is tiny.
yeah, I see. All right, so earlier we were talking about how India wasn't making any progress with their negotiations with Tesla for a plant because they wanted everything now, and then Tesla to try and see later, and Tesla wanted to try and see before they committed to anything. Well, Tesla's India policy executive has resigned. So, what was it? 2 weeks ago, we talked about how they had increased their talks with Indonesia, and it looked like it was becoming a reality, at least for some sort of facility. And then we looked at the map and saw how close Indonesia was to India, kind of like in their backyard. And well,
I guess India's not going to happen.
not
At least
anytime
not now.
soon.
At least not
Yeah, not
now.
anytime soon. It doesn't look like it. Yeah, they did this to themselves.
But then again, I mean, if you look at the Indian market and if you look at the price
That
range
part.
of Teslas,
Yes.
like how big is that market for them there? Like I don't know how many cars they would be able to sell in India.
Well, when we looked at the
So,
chart, it was what, 37,000 cars. So
I mean, they could just import those in from Shanghai.
well, hopefully not Shanghai for the Indians that don't want to buy a Chinese car, but from wherever.
Or
At,
from
at,
Germany or whatever. But
yeah, Germany or the U.S. At 100% markup and only 37,000 units. I think that they could do this. um, not that anyone wants to pay double just because your government is being a bad negotiator. I mean, not that they're bad. I mean, they're just trying to be too strong with it. Like, hey, we'd rather sink this deal than give you any concessions. That's not good negotiation. There's give and take.
right.
You can't just keep going back to the start. And
In a really good negotiation, both sides lose. Like
yeah,
nobody
don't
gets
feel like
everything they want.
nobody gets
Nobody's
everything they
happy.
want.
Nobody's
Yeah.
completely happy.
Exactly.
Everybody has to give a little.
Right.
So
yeah, and these type of negotiations, like what India is doing, keep going back to the start. I hated those as car salesmen. It's like, all right, well, we finally got something done. Oh, it was torpedoed the whole thing. Let's start over from scratch. Nothing matters. Oh, thanks for wasting an hour of my time. Let's do this again. oh, great. Oh no, another hour wasted. Oh, let's do it again. All right, just leave. I've got other stuff to do. I don't want to sell you a car anymore. Of course, the manager wouldn't let you just kick out a customer, but I surely would have done it a couple times. I didn't do it, but I surely wanted to. So anyway, that's where they are. That's how it went, and he's gone. So it's really not looking good. And copy link.
I mean, although I'm not really shocked by that.
I don't know. Like I said, a couple of the folks I know from India that I worked with, they say that that was kind of how it went when they were kids. They had to learn to negotiate for everything, and I don't know if that's typical, but it's common, and it's all the Indian people I worked with who described it, and they all said that's how it was, and that's why I thought this was going to go better than it did. I was wrong. Ford notifies dealers to stop selling Mustang Mach-E ahead of safety recall. Yeah, we talked about that. From The Verge. How did I get that one twice? Like when you look at where they are in the notes, how did they get so far apart?
I don't know.
Okay,
But
so
the Mach-E is still fairly new, so they have their issues right now.
everybody has recalls.
Like you said earlier, all manufacturers have recalls at some point. It happens.
Yep. All right, so we grazed on this last week before that BYD said they were going to sell Tesla batteries, and then Tesla said, we don't know what you're talking about. And it came back again. The BYD said they're going to supply batteries for the Model Y early next year. And I don't know that Tesla actually responded this time.
Is that just in China, or are they do? I mean, I don't know. Whatever. Tesla did say at one point in time that they would buy batteries from everybody. They buy as many as they can get their hands on, and they're going to produce as many as they can because that's how many they need. So, I mean, whatever. If it's just another source that they're going to source batteries from, and as long as they're made up to par, up to their specs that they want them, then good. More sources is better.
Exactly, and that's the reason I brought it up this time. Is the last time Tesla already said no, we don't know what you're talking about before I could do the show, so I just breezed on through it. But today it came back again, and they didn't at the time that I was doing the research. They didn't say no again. And as Omar said, they're making batteries. If they're in spec and in price, then why not? If you can't breathe,
Exactly. They're gonna need as many as they can get their hands on, so why not?
Yeah. Wake up before you cuss me about not having milk.
Panasonic surely isn't going to be able to make enough of them for as many cars as they need to put out. So
exactly. All right, so let's move on to the next one until we have some more concrete what's going on here. So we talked about how GM is selling cars at a discount, but the prices have gone up, right? Well, Ford is no longer making any profit on the Mustang Mach-E due to inflation. Yes, sweetie.
Right, and then people wonder why Tesla keeps raising their prices. Well, it's inflation, and their supply chain. All the prices all the costs have gone up by a lot. So
yeah, and so speaking of Tesla raising their prices, they did that again on everything, everywhere. But I didn't find anything that wasn't a screenshot. I wanted like a link to where somebody showed the numbers or whatever, rather than a screenshot of somebody else saying it happened. But it did happen. Anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000, depending on what you're trying to buy, where you're trying to buy it at. So they went up on prices again for inflation and supply chain as well. Are you done?
Right, because Tesla doesn't sell a ton of gas vehicles, so they can't afford to just eat the cost and not make any money off of them, off of the cars that they're selling. So they have to make profit off the cars they're selling, or otherwise they're no longer a company. So yeah, where Ford can eat that on the Mach-E for now, as temporarily, and they're still profitable off of all their gas F-150s that they sell. So it balances out for them in other ways.
She was doing all that complaining in her sleep, and then she stood up for a minute, and that woke her up. And then she locked eyes at me. She's like, "Oh, hi!" She saw the bottle in my hand. She's like, "Hey, can I have that?" Oh, this child is gonna have an interesting personality. I tell you what. All right, sorry, but you nailed it all, Omar. So let's move on to the next one. Because this is everybody, so I'm not going to harp on Ford doing it. This is everybody. Although GM is the only one dropping their prices during this. So
right.
They're leading everyone to new lows.
They're like, we're going to go the opposite way.
Yes. So here's a name that we haven't heard in a long time. Faraday Future.
Are they going to actually launch something?
They claim they will. And so, yeah, this is basically the reason we haven't heard from them is because every time I see their name, I skip it. They have enough money to launch the FF91 later this year. So this is good because they've been through some trials and troubles and tribulations, and we'll see if they actually do it or not. I'm not holding my breath. I do have a reservation in on FF91. It was one of the free ones. I don't know if they'll honor that, and I certainly don't have the $250,000 for a unit, and I still don't think it's very attractive. And it only seats 4, and I don't have the parking space for it, so I probably won't fulfill.
So you're not going to get it, right?
Probably not going to fulfill that free reservation, but I do got one, and I guess that's a disclaimer or disclosure. Yeah, I know I dropped the bottle. You dropped it too. Here.
Well, they got that Chinese money behind them, right? So
They did, but then they got in trouble for impropriety. So we'll see where it goes.
yeah, we'll see what happens.
I'm not holding my breath.
I'm not.
I would
Yeah,
like to see it hit the market just because more options, but
my hopes are not up very high for this
yeah,
one.
it doesn't look very good. Last year they selected Velodyne as a LiDAR supplier. That's another thing. They're relying on LiDAR. One comment. Oh, this one isn't the one with one comment. I think the one comment was on Ford. Oh well. So we talked about Toyota getting criticism, right? Well, they pushed back. Toyota pushes back on criticism of their EV strategy with this picture. Toyota is pushing back against critics of their electrification strategy, noting that they need to offer a variety of powertrains for their customers. Well, then, make good electric cars that people want to buy. Duh. Yes, it's hard. Toyota doubled down on their position with this to stick to it.
With the full cells, okay.
Yeah. That's all we need to see. Bye-bye, Toyota. It was nice knowing you while you lasted.
Fuel cells and hybrids. Okay. Yeah.
Let's go the opposite of what our customers are asking for.
I mean, fuel cells it really is not. It doesn't make sense. It's not going to work for them. Not in consumer vehicles.
Right. It will work in Japan, but that's only because you got that government subsidy.
Right, but if you don't have the government, okay, so
they're trying to push it worldwide just because it worked in Japan. Yeah, no, it's not. No.
At the consumer level, you're not going to be able to make fuel cells work. It's just not. It's just not happening. There's not enough refueling stations out there. The vehicles cost way too much money without being subsidized.
Yep, and the maintenance and the
it just
where do you fuel that?
Everything about it just doesn't make sense. It's just not gonna work.
Exactly.
It's unfortunate. You know, back in the day I liked Toyota, but it looks like they're gonna be possibly going away.
Yeah, I would have never switched to Chevrolet if they had made a proper plug-in hybrid. And then I would have never switched from Chevrolet to Tesla had they made a compelling full-size EV. So they lost twice. I could have gone back to Toyota. So
Toyota was one of the ones that were early on with the Prius. They had the.
That's why I was so surprised that they failed so badly. Yeah,
they were moving in the right direction and they just
quit.
Went left and when they should have went right. I don't know.
They kept going straight. They should have turned some way. They kept going straight. Yeah. So von Holthausen, not the man, but the company, teases new alternative leather interior coming soon to Tesla Model S. So Franz von Holthausen's wife and himself, they own a company that makes like leather bags and stuff. Like they offered a leather pouch for my MacBook and iPad when I was in the Apple store the other day. But here's a screen grab from their announcement. That is a yoke wheel, a Tesla yoke wheel. And this is a Tesla interior with very that is not Tesla material, but that is definitely a Tesla interior there. So Tesla could soon be adding a new interior upholstery option for at least the Model S, as the company owned by Vicky von Holthausen, the wife of Tesla's chief designer, has shared a glimpse of the flagship sedan's interior wrapped in a new alternative leather. In a short 5-second video posted to the von Holthausen company's Twitter account this morning, we can clearly see the center console, seat, door panel, and unmistakable yoke steering wheel of the Model S. I still don't see... it could still be an X, for all I know.
It's probably an S.
It probably is. If a clue of the S's interior wasn't enough, the tweet also says alternative leather is accelerating like never before. A subtle nod to the sub 2 second 0 to 60 time of the Model S Plaid. Okay, fair enough. So here's the video.
Oh, that was short.
They said it was short. The alternative leather is called Banabu. A material on the Van Holzhausen website describes her. What? Describes on her website as a high-performing premium leather alternative made from bamboo.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll see when they make
Nice
an
to have
announcement.
options.
Yeah.
I hope that becomes an option that people can order.
Hey, Kagai, you gonna get this? All right, so this one I believe is in a private group. So let me click it and see what I need to do about it. Oh, this isn't even. I guess it came from a private group, and I did the right thing. So earlier in the show, a couple minutes ago, I promised you a new charging connector, right? Let's take a look. This is being reported on Inside EVs, and the Char-In group, which Tesla and almost everybody else is a member of. I think everybody's a member of it because this is the CCS group versus the CHAdeMO group. The Megawatt Charging System, or MCS. This new connector can handle up to 3,000 amps, so 3 kiloamps, or 1.25 kilovolts to charge the charge heavy vehicles quickly. Yeah. And so what I said when I found this was it reminded me of this device here. As soon as I find it to pick it up. Yeah. One of the batteries in the kitchen is clicking, even though I didn't touch anything.
So I'm guessing that they want to use that for semis, buses, like really large vehicles
Exactly.
with really large battery packs, so they can charge them up quickly. But that is a lot of power. I mean,
More than even today's semis need. But going forward, you'll need to be able to, especially as we get more advanced batteries, you'll need to be able to get that power in quickly without investing too much in the stations themselves. So what it reminded me of was this device here. I don't know where the other one is, so I'm opening this one. I'd plan to keep one of them closed. So you see these batteries behind me, right? The EcoFlow Delta Pro.
it does look similar to that.
Very similar, but theirs are much bigger because it's for semi-truck. And what this is on the EcoFlow, yes, baby, yes. What this is on the EcoFlow is a J1772 adapter. So I can charge my home batteries off of a car charger, which is pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
But I was just impressed at how similar it looked. I was like, whoa, that looks familiar.
Yeah, it does.
So we can see it is built off of CCS. They've just continued to iterate CCS. I guess. Well, if you don't want milk feeding your neck, keep your mouth on the nipple.
I mean, can the grid even handle that kind of power? That's a lot of power.
You're gonna need battery buffers, or you're gonna need some very specific feeds. But you can see it's based off of CCS. It's got the same large lugs, but you're not needing to do the combined charging system because you're only charging trucks with this. So you got the two big lugs, and you've got your signaling, and you've got your ground right here.
Mm-hmm.
And then because it's based off CCS, it uses J1772 as a communications protocol.
Makes sense.
Right. I think the CCS also uses not CAN. They use vehicle to grid actually as their once they've actually made the connection. So it probably also is using a little bit of vehicle to grid as well. And let's see what they say about this. As we can see, it has a new triangular shape. It's been under development for about 4 years since the Char-In initiated a task force for heavy-duty charging commercial vehicles at the first Char-In North America conference in 2018. Yeah. And so I wonder if this development is part of why Tesla won't let us see their monstrosity octopusy cables of the 8 supercharger connections to. I wonder if it even still is 8 now that V3 superchargers have come out and they can just do 4. Anyway, my theory still stands that one V3 supercharger that charges 4 cars is one Tesla megacharger for one semi-truck. But they were always contending that the port isn't finished yet, and so we've seen 1 or 2 pictures of the charging port with the 8 connections. But perhaps they knew this was coming, and since they are a member of the Charian group, perhaps they were planning on actually using a standard connector this time around. Because remember, the reason they don't use the standard connector in North America is just because the connector wasn't ready in time that they could stay in business and sell cars if they waited on the port to get finished for J1772 and later CCS.
And honestly, I think the connector that Tesla came out with was actually sleeker, more elegant.
Yeah,
I liked
agree.
it better.
Yeah, but now it's time for them to get to a standard.
But we need a standard, so it's time to standardize and start, having everybody on the same page.
Yeah, I just wish that they all would have gone with the Tesla plug instead. Oh well.
What are you gonna do?
Go to the standard. All right, so it mentioned the communication protocol, I believe. Let's see. Commons agreement protocol. All right, so it doesn't say. At some point, I did read it, and I guess it wasn't on this article. So it's either going to be J1772 based, like CCS is, or I don't see any reason for them to change it except for changing the range. So unless the range of power they're asking for is not something that can be requested over the existing connections, then I don't see any reason for them to change it. Just because, why bother? So anyway, it's able to have a maximum of 3,000, so 3 kiloamps or 1.25 kilovolts, which means a potential of 3.75 megawatts of peak power. And when you look at what the Tesla V3 charger does, what I allege is a mega charger, it's capable of 1 megawatt. So there's 3 times that, 3.3 times that, 3.75 times that. So it's an order of magnitude more than the 350 to 500 kilowatts of the CCS combo connector, which was used as a base for the MCS development. They say that based on globally aligned requirements and technical specifications, develop requirements for a worldwide standard, which means that hopefully we're only going to see one semi-connector worldwide instead of 2 variants of the same one.
I hope so.
Because right now CCS is one standard on paper, but we've got 2 connections. We've got the European Type 2 connector, and we've got the North American Type 1 connector. If we can just have one, that would make the prices go down, because you're going to be making millions of plugs and millions of receptacles and stations instead of, all right, which continent is this going to? Is it going to China? Oh, we got to make the China one. Oh, is it going to Australia? Oh, okay, we're going to do that. Australia uses the European, so Japan, Japan, South Korea, and North America use the same as well. But if you can just make one, it would be so much simpler. The publication of the final MCS standard is expected in 2024. Meanwhile, starting later this year, Charian members will present their respective products for the implementation of MCS. It's not only a new standard conductive plug for megawatt charging, but also the common agreement on one and the same position. That was the other part I had to bring up. The same position of the plug on all trucks worldwide. All MCS manufacturers will install the charging inlet on the left front side to simplify infrastructure layouts. So if Tesla does go to this plug, they're going to need to move their charging inlet to the front left corner. Right now they're in the front left side. They've got it kind of not in the very back like it is today. It's like it's let me find a photo. I have to find a photo. So let's look at this video real quick. I bet you they don't have theirs in the right place based on what I'm seeing right here.
So, and Michael is our operator within our Charian team, and he's going to start the charging process. So it seems to be handleable.
It seems to be about the same size as a CCS connector, but because they don't have all that empty space up top, they're probably able to dedicate more of it to the bigger connectors. Wait a minute.
It
So
almost looked like he had another charger there too, like right there next to his hand.
yeah, so there's one here. That's very clearly the combo port. Unless they just took one like out of the pack and like set it on the truck. Like that doesn't appear bolted in any way. But still, that is front left, but it's when they say front left the way they did in the article, I'm thinking like Rivian, like right there on the corner, underneath the headlight. Not
I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be behind that panel there above the tire, above the wheel. Like,
that
see
one.
how there's like like right there.
Yeah.
Like I thought it was gonna be there.
Well, it couldn't be there because the other thing they're specifying, not just that it's on the front left, it has to be at waist height, so it's too tall.
Oh, okay. So that's too tall. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get there yet. I'm sorry, but yeah. So that with it being there, then the Tesla Semi might not need to move where it is, except that they're not cab over. They're that might be still be too far back on the Tesla because on Tesla it's about here, but it is on the left.
I mean,
so
it's still on the left, so
it might not be too far off. Yeah,
I think that it still might work.
yeah. So let's go back to where he got it.
I mean,
plugged in.
obviously they're trying to specify where it's at, so that way when they make all their charging stations, they set them up for the same location on the
Yes.
vehicle. Because the problem we see now is like with the Teslas open up their supercharging network to other vehicles that are manufactured with charging spots in different places. The placement of that is causing some issues at a lot of the charging locations.
Yep.
Because-
And then you've got cars like the Tesla and the i3, where if you use a third-party network, but the provider decides they're going to put them in angled spots and then it's nose in only, well, you can't charge your i3 or your Tesla because the cables are too darn short. So you got to back in, which I mean you can do physically, but it's more of a mess if you're trying to back in a place where back in is outlawed.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough on those angled spots where it's
Right.
made for nosing in.
Right. And especially something like this where you're going to have the bollards and the equipment and the other cars. You might not be able to fit a land yacht like a Model S or Model X in those spots. So you might have to go onto another spot that doesn't have the nose in requirement. Just because you can't make the turn.
Yep.
Yeah. Shoot, I can't make regular turns in the Model X. And like I went to the drugstore the other day and there was me and this long bed pickup truck, and we both made like a 6-point turn to get into the parking spot. She was nosing in, and I was backing in, but neither of us could just whip it. And then coming back out, there was a much shorter, like a Audi crossover, like a RAV4 size. She came in, but she wanted to park next to the curb, so she pulled in, and then she had to do a triple point to get it, so she wasn't taking up 3 spaces. Yeah, so let's finish this right here.
So that is communication based on 15.11.8. Communication starts. It takes a couple of seconds, as we know. And what we see, it's ramping up now. And so we have now the megawatt charging.
That was loud. And then it was music. So 15.11.8, is that ISO? In a nutshell. Oh, come on. Why?
Well, there's the Wikipedia one. It's saying.
Oh, Wikipedia, let's do that instead. Because I didn't like what I actually did find when it did open in another window. Just because the format was not something that we could share very easily. So vehicle to grid communication interface. So yes, it's using the same as CCS basically. Standard provides a plug and charge feature used by some electric vehicle networks like Tesla and Mustang and a few others. Good. So the less you change to make these things, the easier it is for everybody to get on board.
That's good. It's already a standard, and they're going with the standard.
Yes. Standard in 2010, plug and charge released in 2014. By 2018, no automakers had a functional implementation. However, by 2021, we had Porsche and Ford had implemented it on the Mach-E and the Porsche Taycan. And then Tesla had already been doing plug and charge, probably using the same thing, but not necessarily this way because they don't use a public standard anyway. They know who's plugged into each supercharger as well. So let's see. Allows the vehicle to identify and authorize itself to a compatible station on behalf of the driver, so you don't need to worry about freaking dongles everywhere, all the little keychain full of cards or an app. I know first world problems having to, I gotta grab my keychain or I gotta use my app, but seriously, if you don't need to, why put people through that, all the little friction. All right, so if you want to look up 15.11.8, I'll just paste a link in the chat. That way it's easier on you all. Robert says good. Paste. And there you go if you want to read the Wikipedia article. Excellent. And let's see if they add anything on this other one. They got the history of it, vehicle to grid. So that's the other cool thing is it's, because it is a vehicle to grid, it inherently understands vehicle to grid whenever your power company decides to participate, as well as your vehicle manufacturer. All right, they had a timeline. Yeah, they don't really add anything to the discussion, so let's close their page and move on to the next one. Oh, did I mention about I talked about the waste height, but did I show you in the article where it said waste height?
No, but you did mention it.
Oh, roughly hip height, sorry. So here's their summary of their requirements. Single conductive plug. So you're not a double, not a triple. Oh, you know what? For the ships, remember all the ships I showed you guys with all the Chatamos and all the CCSs? They could get by with so many fewer connectors if they do this.
Yeah, good point.
Maybe 1 or 3 of these instead of 35 Chatamos or
This will help for
CCSs.
anything that needs huge amounts of power. So yeah, that's anything to help us electrify all the things. I'm
exactly. So the single conductive plug, hopefully it doesn't say you can only have one of these on your vehicle, because that would rule out all those ships and boats. But hopefully it's just saying, you can only expect that there'll be one, is what they're saying there. It's not like a double header or something. PLC and ISO IEC 15.11.18. Touch safe, that's good. That means that you can not have to worry about zapping anybody who tries to interrupt a charging session or tries to start one and doesn't do it right. It also means they're also considering that you can stand in a puddle of water and do it as well. Just like the existing CCS and Tesla and J1772 and everybody else. On-handle software interrupted, software override switch, software interpreted override switch. So that's going to be, I don't know. The Chatamo it's software, right? I don't know if CCS is.
Well, it probably have a button on top that if you hit that, it'll probably shut off the power to that, to where you can.
Yeah, I mean everybody's got that,
but
I'm trying to think of who does it in software now instead of in like a physical button. Like J1772 it lifts up and it triggers the stuff to stop going.
Well, I think it's both. I think it's physical and hardware. I mean, and software with the J.
Yeah, because you got to get the lock to unlock.
Because it's you hit it, that physically does the latch, but then it also, I think, triggers software.
Yeah.
To tell it to stop charging.
Yeah, because on DC, if you break DC, it'll arc, and that's what they're basically getting at there. They don't want it to arc, so they don't want you to unlock it until be able to pull it out until it's stopped the juice. Adheres to OSHA and ADA, local equivalent standards. That's good. So that's why you saw that it wasn't any bigger than a CCS when that guy was demonstrating it. The FCC Class A EMI and local equivalent, so electromagnetic interference. So you don't have all those people complaining, "Oh, electric cars, they're going to give you cancer. They're gonna fry your brainwaves with the 5G."
Well, people will still say that anyway.
Oh, they will.
It won't be true.
Exactly, because it's part of the standard. Located on the left side of the vehicle, roughly hip height. Okay, so it doesn't necessarily say left front, just the left side. Okay.
So Tesla's good.
They're good.
They're good to go.
It was already hip height, and it's on the left.
It's already on the left. So it's perfect.
Here was something that part of the reason they're mentioning all of that. Capable of being automated. So if they're all in the same place and all the same height, it makes it a lot cheaper to make a robot to plug it in.
Right. Good point.
Yeah. Why do you guys got fireworks going off? We're the ones who left. All right, so UL certified. That's good. That actually makes it easier to get implemented depending on the sites. Some places only let you install certain certifications. So to get it certified means that that you won't have that fight when it comes to your place. I don't know who wants semis to charge and has that kind of power connection, but every little obstacle that's removed is good. Williams points out EMI music. That's another good point. But electromagnetic interference in this case. Cyber secure, so no more, Putin is a jackass on the screen. Maybe true, but it may be cute, but it's not good when somebody's trying to travel and the thing doesn't work.
Exactly.
And vehicle to whatever, bidirectional. So vehicle to load, vehicle to grid, vehicle to vehicle, vehicle to home. I don't know what home can take a megawatt connection, but yes, there you go.
Bidirectional. That's
Yes.
bottom line.
That's the bottom line. It's expected at some point after the launch, MCS will get an option of automatic connection, which, yes, expected. It's in the standard. An interesting thing is the bidirectional capability, as in theory, a truck full of batteries could become a small power plant. That's another good point. We've seen Tesla drop off their mega packs equipped with a bunch of urban chargers in cases where the grid's down or they have like an emergent situation coming on, and they just, here's the power. Imagine if you could do that. Like, you have a mega pack and you've got this connector for the host truck. The host truck is plugged into its own pack, and it's just dumping that back into the grid as a regular charger that was down with the right connections from the power company. That sounds cool. But of course, if you can take a megawatt in, you could probably do it on your own with the host vehicle without the trailer. But the trailer would make it last longer. Let's see what the comments are on this thing. Serving a huge increase in power, the connector is not much bigger than CCS. Bidirectionality is an interesting feature. I can imagine an application where large tow trucks could transfer a meaningful amount of power to charge trucks in a little time. Yeah, that's another good point is you could have a tow truck. Instead of having to tow the truck, you could bring it up alongside the guy who somehow ran out of juice, give him a little boost to the next station, and he can still make his money for having to show up. But then you'll have the safety aspect of having to get out and hook up and deal with all of that jazz. Next time James is on, we'll have to ask James what he thinks about that part. Like, I think just by having less steps and less going on, it just sounds safer to me as a layman. But him as a professional, he's talked about in the past about how other folks have talked about, well, no, you need to tow, make your money. But he's like, if it's safer to not have to tow in the first place, let's not even set it up where we need to tow.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like, I think one of the things was the lighting. Like, he's like, hey, why have a crash? If I can avoid a crash, so it's not all about the towing. So next time James is available, we'll have to discuss that with him. School buses so we talked about school buses every time they come up. Is that how they sit there all day in the summertime? So bidirectionality will be important for them for sure. They don't really need megawatt charging, but since they're big vehicles and this will be available, why not? I can see them doing just like we have here. Like, we've got 50 kilowatt chargers that have the same connector as a 400 volt, 800 volt, 350 kilowatt charger. So why not just keep the connector the same, even if you're not going to max it out? Because installing a megawatt connection at your school is going to be a massive amount of tax dollars. But if you've got a megawatt connector and then the software and the connector and the bus and everything know, hey, we can only do 350, that 350 could power the bus, could power the whole district. Yeah. Because they're parked most of the day, it's easier just to equip school buses with an AC charger. Yes, but some of them have already done the DC charge, so why not make better use of it? All right, so that was what I was talking about. So you don't have to worry about, for your personal vehicle, a new connector coming anytime soon. But if you have a big truck or ship, there's a better solution coming for you soon.
Well, that's interesting.
All right, so the non-Tesla Supercharger pilot expands to 5 new European countries. 38 of 38 stalls available. See, that's what I'm talking about. Except for in holiday travels in Southern California all the time, there's just always available stalls.
Well, if you think about it, they charge up the vehicles so fast.
Yeah.
And they have so many stalls to begin with. You never see just like, oh, there's only 2 stalls or one stall.
Right.
Tesla,
if you do, it's like some special event, and that's like for the cars on like the Tesla racetrack or whatever. Yeah.
Right. So normally on a normal road
minimum
trip,
of 4. Yeah.
You're gonna see 4 or more,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a situation where it is 20 stalls and each car is charging up very quickly, cars are constantly leaving, you're pretty much always going to be able to get a charge, unless you're in Southern California. That's a whole different animal. So it makes sense, but that's for right now.
Yeah.
The problem is, as they open this up to other EVs,
are they going to keep up the ratio? Not necessarily the number ratio, as we talked about. The number ratio doesn't matter, but the utilization ratio.
Right. And the other thing you have to look at is not all EVs have all the same capabilities, so some of them can't charge that fast.
Right.
So now, if it's a vehicle that can't charge as fast,
don't let them on the network.
Then it takes longer for it to charge. And now it's using up the spot longer.
It is. Charge them more.
And on top of that, if their charge port is in the wrong location, these have short cables.
Yes.
So now they might take up 2 spots basically.
Yeah.
In order to charge, and it's just.
Yeah, I think that hopefully this trial teaches them either they'll need extension cables or different layouts or something. Because I don't really I jest when I say don't let them in. I don't really want you to strand people. I want them to comply in some way. Like they need to charge faster. They need to have a standard port location, as we're seeing with the trucks. But Tesla can get around this by installing either longer cables or extenders, or as well as having more flexible layouts. This is not an impossible situation to resolve, but we already see this going on now with the non-Tesla stations, where you've got a station that's got 2 or 1 350 kilowatt charger, and you'll have a bolt that shows up that can only take a 50 kilowatt charge, and he takes the 350, and now a Porsche or a Hyundai Ioniq 5 show up, and they can take a 350. But they're stuck with a 150 or 90 because the Bolt guy was lazy or greedy or whatever, misinformed, or I don't know what his deal is, why he plugged the 50 into the 350. Just didn't understand, hopefully. So now everybody's waiting because the Bolt's going to be there for a long time. And you've cost the Hyundai driver a minimum of 8 minutes. And the Porsche driver probably more because it's got a bigger pack than the Hyundai. So Tesla's going to have to take that psychology, that selfishness aspect into it as well, when they open this wider, because you're going to have cars, as Omar said, that don't max out a supercharger at any point. Not just hey, they hit the peak real quick and they're done. No, they never get to peak.
Exactly.
And so I'm thinking, literally, if you do charge them more, that will kind of push them to only do what they need, rather than try and fill it up. With the Teslas, you find eventually if a person road trips enough, they realize, hey, I can stop at 80, because if I wait past 80, I'm costing myself minutes down the line, minutes to hours. But some folks who are not used to this plethora of charging, where I want to get closer to 100. I want to get closer to 100 because I got a long trip. Got to break them of that mentality as well. And I think that charging them extra for the fact they'll be utilizing the station more would be one way to do that. So speaking of charging,
there are certain vehicles where you would want to charge it closer to 100 because you may not have that much range to begin with.
There's that as well. But then they also can't charge as fast usually. And
they can't charge as fast, exactly. So those cars, they don't charge as fast. They have smaller battery packs, and then they have less range to begin with. Yep. Now you're waiting longer for them to charge because they need to charge to a higher state of charge in order for them to make it to their next charging or to their destination.
Exactly. Like I said, I'm not being malicious with them. It's practical. And so, to that same vein, we're seeing a portion of a screenshot of the Tesla app here. They have plans right now for these open superchargers. You can do pay as you use, which has its own rate per supercharge, or you can do the membership at €12.99 per month. So with the membership, you get access to Supercharging Network, and it's basically what it says lower price per kilowatt hour. That lower price is the same price that Tesla owners pay. So you're going to have one price if you're not part of the membership. Now, if you only take 2 vacations a year, and once you take your trip, you only need 1 or 2 charges, it might not equal €12.99. So in that case, I say, don't be a member. Just do your 1 or 2 charges and call it a day. But if you travel a lot, then I might suggest you do the math and look at how many charges you do for this membership, because that might be worth it. Another thing to look at is, since it is by the month, say you're going on a 6-month vacation. You buy it for 6 months and you turn it off when you get home. And then you do AC charging at home or at your destination. And then you turn it on when you get ready to go travel to Europe again, or North America whenever we finally get this program. Practical.
Well, it's similar to the subscription model that Tesla has now for FSD.
FSD and radio, everything, yeah.
I currently own my Model Y. I didn't spend the $12,000 and purchase FSD on it.
Yep.
However, when I'm gonna do a road trip, I go ahead and subscribe to the FSD for that month. Just during that month that I do my road trip, even if my road trip is only 2 weeks or a week and a half or whatever.
Yeah, you just get 1 month. Yeah.
you just purchase it for that month and then just cancel it, and then that's it. I don't need it again until the next road trip, which may be 6, 7, 8 months later.
Yep. And the same with the Starlink roaming. So on all 3 of these cases, with Tesla, you just Tesla and SpaceX, you just buy it for the month you need it, and then you can cancel it right away. And then they don't refund you, so you can just ride out the rest of your 30 days or month or calendar month, depending on which service we're talking about. Some of them are 30 days, some of them are calendar month. Just ride it out, and you don't have to remember to cancel it later. You don't worry, like, what is this charge?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I did when I did my road trip. I subscribed to it, and then like the next day I canceled it.
And you just used it.
I still had it for that whole
exactly.
30 days. Yes. So it didn't, I used it, and then at the end of the 30 days it expired, whatever. That's fine.
You didn't have to remember to go turn it off.
I didn't have to remember to cancel, exactly.
Another thing to do as a trick for that, not just for Tesla, but in the cases where they would cut it off immediately, or say your trip crosses one of the calendar boundaries, so you need it that next month, like for a week or whatever. Set a calendar reminder in your phone or on your computer, whatever. You go, bloop, bloop, time to cancel the Starlink, time to cancel whatever, and you just, oh yeah, that's right, and you cancel it, or you hit snooze, so when you're near a place you can deal with it. Just don't keep hitting snooze, and then all of a sudden you got to charge. Like, darn it! So to continue on to the point of the story, the program has expanded to Denmark, Finland, Germany, Luxembourg, and Switzerland. So now the total participating number of countries is 13. Starting with France, ending with Switzerland. France, Netherlands, Norway, UK, Spain, Sweden, Belgium, Austria, Denmark, Finland, Germany, Luxembourg, and Switzerland. Not all superchargers in these countries can charge all EVs. Select number of stations, you can look in the app. Unlike previous expansions, Tesla did not specify how many stations are in each country within the program. But their map now shows most of Europe, or much of Europe, is peppered with non-Tesla superchargers from the tip of Norway down to the south coast of Spain. This looks like an early Tesla supercharger map, remember?
It does.
This is probably the model they're following. So they're probably just literally...
Well, they're probably just allowing it at the ones with the least use.
Yes.
Because they know how busy each station is.
Exactly.
So the ones with the least amount of use, they're probably allowing it on there, so that way they know that they can handle the volume.
Yeah. Art Williams points out the people who park in the charging spots, we call them ice holes or EV holes. They what I like is the places that allow towaways. You call up and say, hey, like Jersey does this now, right? You can call a towaway on an EV blocker.
I don't know. I think Only in certain spots, certain places.
Somewhere in that area, if it's like a public spot, you can now. I don't know. It
In
might not
certain
be
places
Jersey. It
you
might
can.
be Delaware or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it might be Delaware. So I think that should be everywhere.
Oh yeah. It should be like a handicap spot. You call it up, and
Exactly.
a disabled access spot, and you call it up, and they get a massive $500, $250, wherever you're at, fine, and the tow truck comes and removes them.
And then guess what? After that happens to
They
a
only do
couple
it a couple
people,
times.
word gets around. Everybody else learns from the other person's mistake, and that's it. That's a wrap. Nobody does it anymore.
And you don't have to teach them, hey, is it charging or not? Literally, is it plugged in or not? That you can see.
Right.
Is it plugged in? And then from there, let the station owner do idle fees like Tesla does. Hey, $1 a minute, $5 a minute, $20 an hour, $100 an hour, whatever the case may be. If you're plugged in and not using the station, that will get you off on that end. And then if it's not plugged in, the police and tow company will get you out on the other end.
Right. It doesn't even matter if it's an EV or not. It's just, is it plugged in? Oh no, you're not plugged in? Okay, well, fine.
Right. Oh, is it a plug-in Prius with 11-mile range? It's been done for an hour? Okay, well, the charging company's been charging you for that whole hour. Is a plug-in Prius is plugged in or plug-in Prius is not plugged in and blocking the spot? All right, tow it away.
Yep.
Simple. And I'm not ragging on plug-in Priuses. It's just that they can charge in an hour on a 4 hours or 1 hour on a granny lead, and they can charge in less than an hour on a J1772. So
yeah, they have very small
11-mile range.
I used to see there was a certain location where I used to see that a Chevy Volt parked there all the time, and it would stay there all day long plugged in because the person worked there.
Yeah,
it worked, and it was like, it was at a mall. So the person worked in the mall or whatever. They had a Chevy Volt. They would plug in at one of only a couple spots there, and they would take up that J1772 the entire day during their entire shift.
And that
and
one
I would see them all the time, and
yeah.
It's like, dude, I know you're finished charging within like the first couple hours. Like, go out on your break, unplug your car, move it, and let somebody else charge.
Yeah, Chevy Volt would charge in 4 hours. Yeah.
At the most,
from zero to full.
Right. So at the very most, by their lunch break, they could just move their car.
I did that all the time. Like whenever I worked at a place that had a charger, I would plug in when I got there, and at lunch I would leave. Or I would wait till lunchtime, then I plug in at lunch, and then when I leave for work, I just unplug and leave. That one was my preference because then you could turn on the AC on the way out the door.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So Robert says they have a 4,000-pound fine there. Obviously, it's not universal. These people wouldn't do it, but I like that idea. That will make you notice. That's over $4,000 by significant.
That would get your attention quick.
Yeah.
People would not do. Yeah.
You need a short-term loan to cover that. Oh snap! I parked in the wrong spot.
That's a huge fine there.
Yes. Oh man.
I bet nobody's doing that there.
I agree. All right, so here's the full screenshot. All right, so lower kilowatt pricing, get started. So then 250 kilowatt max, where it is, how many stalls are available, your charging price, how much your idle fees are. Excuse me. I'm glad they're doing idle fees even for non-Teslas because that keeps that the same. The difference for them though is because they're not using plug-in charge. I wonder what would happen if you plugged a Mach-E into this because the Mach-E does support plug-in charge. You pick your station, and then you hit start charging. So you plug in, until you say, hey, I'm at 1A, 1B. This isn't quite right. It's a 250 kilowatt station, so it should be 1A, B, C, D. 2A, B, C, D. Because the V3 Superchargers are 4 spots, up to 4 spots per charger. And only the last one, like if you had a 6-stall V3 Supercharger, the last one would be A and B, whereas the first one would be A, B, C, D. They could do ABC.
Well, I've
never seen
ABC.
that arrangement.
I have seen ABC somewhere before.
Yeah, but I haven't. The ones I've seen, they always load up the full 4 on the first one, and then they half the second one. I don't know why they don't do 3 and 3 unless it has something to do with the population of the inside of the cabinet. Like it's easier to do half than just to try and figure out how to do 3.
But then, admittedly, whenever I go to the V3 Superchargers, I don't pay a whole lot of attention to the numbering.
You're in and out.
I know we're not sharing.
Yeah.
That on the V2s, I always pay attention because I don't want to
You better.
share with the person, and they're not always right next to each other. Sometimes they number them, they do them weird.
Yeah, it's
So-
even worse at the stations that got expanded as they realized the network needed to expand. They the second, third, and fourth expansions don't always follow the same convention as the initial. So you can have one that's AB, and you can have one that's 1, 2, 3, 4 A's and then B's, and you can have one that's like a mixture, and then you can have yet another one that's just like, did you guys not use the same crew each time? It's like, what is this?
What is going on?
Yes, right. I think the one in Richmond is like that as well, like because it was expanded a couple of times. Oh, the both of them in Richmond are that way. Glen Allen and the other one, they both got expanded after the fact. And
yeah, I think Glen Allen is like that.
Like, what is this? I gotta do math. I gotta look for people.
I think that's one of the ones that I saw that was weird.
Yeah, and then once you do that, then you got to remember where it is. You got to watch your back. If somebody pulls up next to you, like it's like, no, don't share with me. It's slow for you. It does slow you down, but not as much as it slows them down.
And then there's one up here. There's one up here that in what is that, Bordentown? That's like that. It's weird. It's near Trenton. They have Hamilton Township. That's it. They have where they have all the chargers set up in a row, but you park on each side of it.
Oh wow!
So it's like,
kind of
like
here,
and
like in
you
Florida.
plug in there,
They're back
and
to
then
back
you have
in Florida.
you plug here, and they're back to back.
Yeah.
Right. So then you have to really pay attention.
Yeah.
Because of the way they're set up, it's like AB.
Not only is it AB, but somebody could park on the wrong side and pull and share with you. I've seen that happen.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Yeah. So you really got to pay attention on those.
Yeah. All right. So then we've got Ferrari aims to have 80% of their sales be electrified by 2030. Electrified, not electric. Sounds like plug-in hybrids to me.
Sounds like hybrids. Yeah.
Oh, not even plug-in hybrids. You're right. Just regular old gasoline hybrids.
It could be regular hybrids, plug-in hybrids.
It could be that smart stop.
They're going to count all of that stuff, right?
Yeah, or you plug in. It's got a heavy alternator, so you plug in. You don't plug in. You just come to a stop. Your AC stops everything. You let off the brake, and it fires back to life. The only thing saving them from that is Ferrari doesn't like automatics.
See, look, electric and hybrid models. See.
Yep. Only 5 years before it's required they go all electric. So at least they'll be part of the way there. Famous for his throaty 12-cylinder.
I mean, it's better than a 12-cylinder gas guzzler.
This is true. This is true. Johnny Ive connected to Ferrari's first EV. I don't know. I'd want Johnny Ive to design anything I need to actually rely on to get me around. Oh, switches are for fools. You don't even need them in the software. Blinkers. It detracts from the beauty and style of the thing. You saw how the iPhone and the Macs got a lot more practical once he left.
Mm-hmm.
Less pretty, but way more practical. So we wish them luck. Electrify all the things. But like when I say electrify, I don't mean add a hybrid battery. I mean put a plug on it. Preferably drop the gas engine.
Yes, that's the goal there.
Yeah. So we were talking about Tesla insurance coming to Florida and Maryland. It's now available in Nevada. Let's see which version they got in Nevada. Hopefully it's the same one I've got where you go in the app and it uses the driving score. California, it's not using the same style. You notice it not on this list. Other vehicles directly from the automaker. So Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, Nevada, Ohio, Oregon, Texas, and Virginia all use safety score. Not bad. All other states except California, Nevada's Tesla insurance premiums will be based on real-time driving behavior, which are monitored through the safety score tool, which looks like this. Like I said, I liked the prices. I just didn't like that for my provider and my coverage, it would actually cost not even cost more. I couldn't even get the same level of coverage I have now. So that's the only reason I didn't do it. So there we go.
Still
What have you
not
got for us
available in
this
my
week?
state yet, but that's okay.
It's coming.
I'm sure it will be.
I'm curious though, when they make it to South Carolina, if I move back there for a little bit, what it'll be like? Like, will it be cheaper? Because they've got ridiculous insurance right now. It's high.
Really?
Well, they have bad drivers, and they have to give you the one windshield a year, and a bunch of other stuff.
Mm.
Yeah. We got. So I want to thank all of our patrons and members. I want to thank Marcus for the generous donation, and we will catch you on the flip side.